correct version of the things on now.
Oh.
It looks a little bit like lard at the bottom of this.
Oh, I've got to get the thing ready, haven't I? The mental.
Yeah.
Not without the answers.
Good evening and welcome to part 3 of Flory Fest 2021. See, I got it right that time. Trust we're all doing very well. John is joining us tonight. He's been busy at work, swimming his way around Somerset
Good evening.
in his shorts. John is one of those posties who wears his shorts. It doesn't matter if it's torrential rain, alligators, snow, blizzards, burning hot.
Zombies.
He will be in his
Well,
shorts.
the bottom part of my trousers don't get soaking wet then, do they?
Well, this is true. Definitely does. Anyway, good evening. I hope you're all doing very well and have been enjoying the shows that we've been doing all day. The team's flagging already. Tomorrow night, everyone will be half asleep. By 5 o'clock, it'll be like, I need to sleep. Anyway, trust you're all doing very well at home. I'm doing good as well. So hopefully the chat is all working. There we go. Everyone is down in there in live chat. Well done. Good evening, everybody. And in the YouTube land as well, the people in there. I can't subscribe to the Flory Models forum. It's because you have to send me a message saying you want to. We keep out the riffraff. And but no, just shoot me a message. If you look at the subscribe area on the main site, it will direct you how to go about it. And you can do it just like that. So yes, oh look, wet and windy with Daryl. I must admit, it's calmed down a little bit now. Hopefully it's blown through on this side. So we're doing right. We're doing right, Andy? No, you're muted, Andy. Andy, you're muted.
Your spray. Dave says, I thought Matt was putting his feet up tonight. We named and shamed him, so we.
Yeah,
He had to
He
take the
doesn't want to get
laptop
out.
home.
wants his medal for winning the quiz.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it. He gets a free badge.
You know what? I might find that a little bit hard as I've got no paper and nothing to write with in here anymore. I never thought of that when it came in. So, yeah.
Speaking of things like that, I forgot to do, as was pointed out to me, my free giveaway this afternoon. So that was for the very, very limited edition 2021 Flory mug and a set of sanders, which will go in it. So it will look a little bit like this. Anyway, I did pick out our winner, and I have messaged him as well. So hopefully he'll see it down in here, because I put it at the bottom. This is My Planes Don't Fly with his cat. So he's won himself a very, very limited edition mug. And the actual sander set. So I have messaged on your thread. So if you can send me your address, I'll get this off to you this week coming. But well done. And the cat gets a prize as well. I'll put in a dog chew. I haven't got a cat, so it has to be a dog chew. So congratulations to him as well on that one. Remember, what we're doing is, if you'd like to showcase your work, you can pop it up here. And we've just got 3 more just to look at before we get started with the quiz. So next up, we've got Marcus has done a MiG-29 in Digicamo. Very nice indeed.
Nice.
And Brands done the Javelin. Very nice indeed, which I take it's the FX kit. Looks about that size. Very, very nice indeed.
Oh, no, it's not.
Isn't it?
It's the 148th
Oh,
Dynavector one. That's
that's a vac form.
yeah.
Vac form one. Wow, there you go. That just shows how good vac form can be. Top draw
Yeah.
on that one. That's a really smart job being vac form. Crikey. And last up, we've got a beautiful Mosquito. And this is the Rebel 32nd one. So you know what I was talking about earlier? About how you don't need to spend a fortune on a kit for them to turn out really, really well. This is a classic example. Because when I first saw this, I was thinking Tamiya conversion, something else like that. But oh no, this is the standard Rebel 32nd one.
See, you can polish a turd after
You
all.
can polish a turd. Yeah, we can say things like that now. It's past the watershed somewhere. But yeah, definitely a good example of how you can polish an old kit to make it just as good as obviously the other more expensive ones, shall we say. So good job on that one. Fantastic work all round. Remember, if you want to get your stuff shown, just hashtag official Flory models, and then it drops in here apparently by, I don't know, fairy dust and miracles. I don't know how it works, I just work it. So yes, very good. Well done to everybody who gets those shown as well. And again, I will pick somebody for a mug and sander set tomorrow again, somewhere. It might be on the YouTube chat, it might be in here. Who knows where it will be? There we go.
Very good.
Good job. So yes, very, very good. So tonight we have a quiz by our very own quiz master, Nathan, who in a moment will be talking us through our quiz. Prizes for this one consist of nothing, not a lot, and absolutely feck all. So it's just kudos on this one completely. So have we got drinks and snacks, or are you not lot bothered tonight? Oh, right. So there you go. Andy's straight in with the Coors Light.
Yeah, I don't know. That was one that Cheryl chose out of the fridge. So.
Fine. John, what are you on?
Sheppy's Kingston Black.
Oh, right. Okay. And Nathan?
I've got nothing, I'm afraid. I
Oh,
forgot.
Nathan, you normally have something really cool. You can't drink
I might have
self-leveling thinners. It's not good for you. I've told you about
thinners,
that.
that'll do. Rapid thinners and Coke. I have actually got this, but I don't know, I've had this for a can of pussy.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realise it's canned. Nice.
You can can it now.
Apparently. Mrs. Slocum.
Yeah.
Is that Mrs. Slocum's pussy? You've got to be a certain age to get that one. And poor old Matt probably hasn't, because now his house is not working. His beer fridge is gone.
I'm on night nurse and Lemsip.
Lemsip, that's the one. How many you had?
Never mind, drink it.
Yeah, clearly he's had far too many.
Yeah, I'll be asleep in a minute. I'll be nodding off.
And for my one, I'm on a sample which looks like it's got lard in the bottom, or perhaps Keith's left me a little special something of Keith's very own homebrew.
That's Keith's Gentleman's Relish.
Gentleman's Relish at the bottom. It certainly looks like it. So, but yeah, this is limoncello. So I'm going to try and pour this without getting the lump in there, if I'm honest. So yeah, it's basically like syrup.
Christ, if you drink all that, you're going to be under the table by the end of the show.
Oh, it'll be fine. Be no different to any other auction I've done.
It's hardcore.
Oh look! Oh no, it's dribbling in. Oh no! Nice.
I think you needed to filter that.
It literally looks like something from, an experiment that's gone slightly wrong.
Why did you just say
it's only lemon?
Looks like something from the sperm bank. Just say it.
To be honest, it probably is no, Keith. He's getting his own back on me. He's like, what's this? So yeah, we're good to go. Oh dear.
Limoncello.
Limoncello, or nitromorse as I like to call it. So
Yeah.
definitely. Anyway, are we all good in live chats? Are we all there?
We're all in.
Look, greetings from Madeira. Nice.
But it's not raining in Madeira.
No.
I bet it's not.
So I'm just checking all the chats and everything.
They're all working.
Are they? That's good. Lynn says he's really missed my humour. Do I have humour? I'm just in my own world. Literally. So, like somebody pointed out the other day about my description about airbrushing, calling it hairy fairy.
Pardon?
See, you lot never did see it then. Well, when I was doing the thing on the Vulcan, I was talking about how you need it, because it's a gloss coat, you want to give it a nice positive coat. You know, so you're putting it on wet. That's what I was sort of getting at. So I said, you don't want to be doing any of this hairy fairy stuff. You need to get proper close, whack it on and get it on wet. So the guys appreciated my, I'm teaching people vocabulary that they never knew they needed.
Is that PC in this day and age?
Well, I don't know really. I think it's fine.
Some woodland fairy is going to be,
upset,
offended by that.
No, they won't, because otherwise I'll gloss them. Oh, Jesus. That's just like a lemsip. I'll tell you what that tastes like. It tastes like, you know, what's it called? Hall's Mentoliptus been melted down and put with alcohol.
Oh.
Right. Anyway. Oh, it's fine. Limoncello, you should be in a pint glass, really. Anyway, good job. So, Nathan, is this going to be like a PDF, or are you just going to ask out the questions?
I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah.
And it'll come up because there's a few picture questions.
Yeah.
Are we ready? Do you want me to start?
Okay. Well, so if everyone's got a piece of paper and a pencil or a sharp implement.
Yeah, should we give them a couple of minutes to...
So if you want to get anything
We
together.
start at 1:45, just a round number.
Yeah.
About 4 minutes.
I have a pencil.
Have you got a scribing tool?
Yeah, look, Dale, that's what I'm going to use to write on, look. If it works. Kind of.
See
It'll
that?
work.
Got nothing.
I wonder if you could airbrush that. You could
What?
atomise it, wouldn't it? They're talking about airbrushing this stuff. Makes you wonder.
The worst thing is, Matt's wife is an accountant
Yeah.
who's got that much stationery. She doesn't have any room for it in her office.
Oh.
Matt's
The
got no paper. And I even had to leave him with a notepad on Friday, so he could go to Wednesday, so he could go to the suppliers and write some bits and bobs down.
yeah. Right, everybody got pen and papers.
Right.
Shout up in chat. Quick.
30 questions, is it, Nate?
It is, but you can get more than 30 marks.
And he's airbrushing his answers, look.
Is he still airbrushing?
Oh yeah, brushing.
Oh no, he's
I've
still
got some left in my
muted.
colour. Got some left in my colour cup. I'm trying to
Oh right.
use it up before we start.
Hmm.
I'll not mute myself.
Right.
Near me. Airbrushing.
Is everybody facing the front of the class?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just. I just need to check out and put
Come
on.
on, Nathan. Do your school teacher bit.
Got 3 minutes yet?
I don't miss this blooming online teaching paper, I tell you.
That's it. I've got both chats up now. I've got our chat over here and the YouTube chat over here, so we're all good.
I miss it.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Oh look, who's on yellow limoncello as well? Is that limoncello? Who's put that up? David.
That does look nice.
Christ, have you got that from Keith as well? Mind you, yours is far more like a sample than mine is. I think you should be on, I don't know, antibiotics if that's the case.
So that was like the medicine you used to get as a kid.
It does, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
looks like lemon curd in a bottle.
I'll tell you what it's like, that antibiotic you give to your kids, isn't it?
Homemade. Well done. I'd say you've not lived until you've tried Phil's homemade gin.
Yeah, you probably won't live long after my homemade gin.
Phil,
Yeah.
it might be the last thing you'll drink, but
Yeah, that's a funny colour, that one. It has come out literally, I don't know quite how you're supposed to make it clear, but mine didn't.
came out whiskey coloured, didn't it?
Put it this way: the Russian Secret Service keep asking him for the recipe.
Yes.
Sold as Novichok and foreign
It could be. Good stuff. I've still got half a bottle if you need it. You know, if you've got some, old railings that need cleaning up.
Hey,
I'm not
does,
convinced it won't IPA.
does it disintegrate rust?
Well, I probably think it would do. It's not good. If you spill it on the floor, it fizzes.
Might have to try that. Can you send me some up?
1 minute left.
Okay.
We've
Well,
got
dude,
Volkswagen Beetle. It's need of some.
I'll share
Yeah.
my screen now, and then you can make it big in a second. I don't know if this is going to make everybody's screen. Shall I click on share screen and see what happens?
Mm.
Yeah.
Alexa,
I'll need to switch over onto that mode. Go. Oh, hello. There we go.
Oh,
We're in.
that-
Yeah, that's fine.
That was what?
You just
Then I
need
need
to
to
X out.
get
Yeah,
rid of
that's it.
Yeah. Right, we'll start in 20.
Yeah, as been pointed out, no one type your answers in chat. You can do funny ones, clearly, but don't put the real thing in.
And I'm not going to see them now anyway, so hey. So we'll start in a couple. Right, time to go. You ready? What's round one? I've forgotten what round one is. Oh yeah, round one, Soviet history.
Oh,
You
God.
ready?
Soviet history.
Comrade Bulletsig theme questions.
Hold on a minute, just before we start. Just guys in chat, because I think people are asking questions. We're on a bit of a relaxing evening, so if we ignore your questions, obviously we're doing the quiz, so don't be offended.
Yeah, don't do questions now, guys. Do questions after this if you want.
After the quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
After the
Or
quiz.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Dave Allen,
question
all kind
one.
of funny.
Question 1. Who's that? He's got lots of medals. The clip.
What, is he North Korean?
He's
Has he got
Soviet
down his
general.
trousers?
Yeah. That's the top half of his medals.
I can't spell his name, but I know who it is.
You know who it is, but spellings we're not going to be worried about, especially with the Russian ones.
Who is
Yeah.
it? Who is it? Nathan,
Who is it? Huh?
Who
Why
is
did
it?
we let Nathan do this?
Does he end in off?
He does.
Oh,
Question number 2.
we have to Google his name.
What year did the Chernobyl nuclear power station explode? See, there was a bit of an Easter egg, wasn't there, before? When I had my,
Yeah.
You can have half a point for being 1 year out.
No,
Generous.
you need to be proper.
Okay, question number... I hope it was reactor number 4. Question number 3 is... Oh, which name is... Oh, to ask you to pronounce this. Vladimir, better known. Ilyich Yulin, that fella. Who's
I
better known?
just know him as Vladimir. So
Vladimir to his mates, yeah, but he's got...
You know.
By which name is he better known? Ulyanov.
Vlad.
Yeah. Question number 4. What's the name of this
Oh, you
Soviet
spell that.
space station?
Oh,
Remember that? Didn't that sort of burn up in the atmosphere, didn't it?
Yes.
Question number 5.
No.
What city was renamed as Leningrad from 1924 to 1991? So what was it called before it was called Leningrad, or afterwards? Actually, I had another than it. It's had 3 names, but what is it known as now? What's Leningrad known as now? That's the end of the Soviet questions round. Hopefully not too
So
painful.
obvious. I don't know it.
You want to go there, don't you? It's on your bucket list of cities, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, I
next
do know
round
it.
is...
Hey, I do. Hold on.
What?
I do know what it is, really. I was just testing you.
He's just remembered now, isn't it? That's what he means.
Round 2, disco. So these questions are from the 70s.
Oh, disco. Bee Gees.
Name
John
a British
Travolta.
Prime Minister from the 1970s. 1 point for each correct answer.
I know who it is.
You only get at least 1.
who is?
I
It.
didn't say anything.
There were
I
4.
can name 2.
That's not bad going.
And I was.
I can only
not
name one, I
born-
must admit.
Hey, I was not born in the 70s.
Yeah, you trying to kid.
So if anyone's looking at it thinking that's not... You have to know your British politics. Just wait a
Can we,
minute.
can we go
What
back
year
to that?
did- What year did Elvis Presley die?
On the toilet.
No. When he went from... Yeah. So what year did Elvis
That's what
Presley
you get when
die?
you push too hard.
He's not
When he
there.
went, hey, when he went for number 2.
Yeah. Last thing you ever did, imagine that. And question number 8. Name a US president from the 70s.
Ooh.
Like that, well.
There
We
were
get
great
2 points for. Oh yeah, right.
There were 3 of them. You can name all 3.
God, hold on. I've got to remember Point Break.
I can get 2.
Mm-hmm. There's a subliminal message on the last question. Okay. Question number 9. What's that?
Oh, it says on the thing, mate.
I blanked it out. What game is it?
As in what?
It's a game. It's one back in the 70s. You used to buy a console. It'd have like 1 game in it.
Yeah, it
Next
took
up,
you
that
4 hours to tune it in to your TV.
Yeah. I used to have one of them.
You literally could play 1 game on that. What game was it? Obviously made by
I think that was
Atari.
the first one, wasn't it? Wasn't that the first console game?
I think so.
Probably.
I know. So it's the game you want, not the console.
Yeah, because the console's made by Atari, but what game could you play on it? It's like literally one game.
I know. Yeah,
All
yeah.
you could do.
Carry on.
Question 10. Completed in 1973, how many buildings were there at the World Trade Center? Obviously, World Trade Center 1 and 2 feature prominently in that picture. I think it's... How many towers or buildings were there?
Oh,
Half a point for one number out.
it's a complete guess.
Okay, so next round is Nordic Noir.
Ooh.
It's just generally Nordic themed.
Ooh, sounds like a theme to a song.
What country is that? It's in green. If you're colourblind, it's the one next to the grey.
What, you mean the sea?
Gotta say, my pencil's not working well on this shiny paper.
That's because you're defacing artwork.
We've got a few members from that country as well, haven't we? Question number 12. What is the name of the blanked out shipping forecast area?
Jesus.
I like the dogger. The
It's a
German
dogger.
bite, is that? Or blight?
It's the German bite.
By Fisher, Fair Isle.
Anyone who's
Do you know what?
anyone from overseas is like, what the hell is this? So each of the areas of water
Yeah.
around the UK has got a different name, roughly connected to the area that it is.
How come the Thames is in the middle of the English Channel?
Well, it comes out of the Thames and goes in the Thames.
Thames over White. I've chopped the bottom ones off because we've got Trafalgar down the bottom and all that sort of stuff. But these are the shipping areas which the forecast.
Yeah, if
every
you
night
listen to
goes
Radio 4, that's when they go, Dogger 3, increasing 4,
out.
Humber,
That's the
calm.
hard question. That's a proper sort of.
That's a proper one.
That's a proper question, that one. But think about the. Anyway, question 13. Which Danish author wrote The Emperor's New Clothes?
Oh, I know that.
Question.
Hold on.
It's a long name, isn't it? You need a bit more time to write it down.
Yeah, it's my pencil's crap. Go on.
Pencil's worn out. Get some more lead in your pencil.
Need it.
Okay, question 14 is a flag. Which country's flag is that? They're so similar in that part of the world, it's really
Yeah, I was thinking that.
devilishly difficult question. Unless you're from that part of the world, I don't think you'll know that one. They all use really similar flags, don't they? And question number 15 coming up in a second.
Oh dear.
Name this tank.
Oh, it's one of them.
God.
I think this tank's brilliant. Just like, let's not bother putting a turret on.
Well, it's a bit like a hot rod because the driver's at the back, look.
I'll give you half a point for getting the manufacturer. Is it
Suzuki.
Suzuki? Might need help with that one. Someone might be able to correct me what the correct name of that
You know,
is.
any other day, I don't know this, but
Is that just loads of oil drums strapped to the side?
no, it's reactive armour, isn't it?
It's like jerry cans.
I was going to say, they do look like jerry cans.
It's quite a clever design, low profile. Right, next round is on London. Why not?
Why?
So, question 16, I think. If you're born within the sound of Bow Bells, what are you?
Death.
Deaf, yeah.
Okay. Bow is in the East End. Just a.
You Jack the Ripper.
Question 17. An entrance to the Tower of London. What is it called? If you've got really good eyesight, it actually says above the gate.
Can we also use the real name as well as the other name?
If you happen to know it.
Oh, I do.
Ooh, bonus point. You don't want to go that way. It tended to be a bit of a one-way journey, didn't it? Question 18. What unfortunate fate did Mary Ann Nichols and Annie Chapman share?
Yeah.
Question number 19. The football fans coming up. I think this next question is the football one. Who it is Crystal Palace north or south the river? London taxi drivers are sort of notorious for not taking you south of the river, aren't they?
Ooh, don't go south of the river, mate. No.
Don't go south of the river.
Don't go south of the river.
Crystal Palace Football Club, north or south? And Fulham Football Club, north or south? Is that the one with the really dodgy Michael Jackson statue outside?
I think that's gone. I don't think that's there anymore.
Was that next to the Jimmy Savile one?
Just round the corner.
Which replaced the Gary Glitter one.
Imagine. There's a warehouse somewhere with all these really
I tell you what, hey, it's not
in
looking good on Fulham FC, is it?
No.
It's not looking brilliant. Okay, so that's the end of the London round. All the Londoners are going, I know this one. Right, okay, what's next?
The Yorkshire round.
It ain't our hot mum.
Is it?
I wish.
Okay.
So, what is the job of a punkawalla? If anyone's seen the TV show, you should know what the punkawalla did.
Is that yellow bit a clue?
The yellow bit is an error. That's not So that's the job of a punkawalla. Learning a bit of Hindi here. Next one is a bit easier. What's the job of a chaiwala?
Oh, that got the wrong way round.
Don't think they could ever put that TV show back on British television.
Nah.
So,
No.
question 23, sticking vaguely with an Indian theme, because why not? Which famous rock group travelled to Rishikesh?
Would you call them a rock group?
Rock group, pop group, classic name.
Was it Steps?
Yeah. Question 24.
I'm thinking more the Grumbleweed.
Which two countries are connected by the Khyber Pass? All this carry-on stuff we had in the last show, I thought was quite ironic, given I put that question on. That's probably another film they're not going to show on British TV for again, I think. The Khyber. And then question 25. Where are Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan and his wife Mumtaz Mahal buried?
Do you know what? Next time I think we need a child's edition of this game. Like they do with Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, you should know this one. Okay, last round is Vietnam.
Oh, God.
2 minutes to remember everything you can about the Vietnam War. What aircraft is in the centre of this formation? Just to make it clear, I put a really great big arrow pointing at it.
Oh, and certain member of the team's built one. And it ain't me.
Yeah.
Hee hee. At least I've got 1 point.
Question. Leave that up for another few seconds. It's aircraft recognition. Why is that one Thunderjet at the bottom like in bare metal and the other ones aren't?
Yeah.
More to the point, why hadn't he dropped? Oh, yeah, he has dropped. Sorry. I'm looking at it from that way. Yeah.
Question 27. Secretary of Defence at the start of the war. Who is he?
Is that like a centre parting that's just missed?
That is the most precise haircut you could ever
Tell you
have.
what, that was here parted by Moses.
Just to make it clear, he was the American Secretary of Defence, just in case you hadn't picked up on the clues in the background.
Yeah.
Very, very
What,
famous.
you mean the seagull?
Quite controversial figure by the end, wasn't it? Question number 28. What is Hill 937 also known as?
Oh, I know that one.
I know that.
I wonder if we have a member who was there. No. Question 29. Which came first, Operation Rolling Thunder or Operation Linebacker? Ooh. Ooh, I do hope I've got that the right way around on the answers. I'm sure I'll be correct.
I'm sure people will point it out if you haven't.
I'm sure they would. And the last question. Who's that?
Dad?
Very benign looking face.
Is
Very-
it the guy from KFC?
It does look like the South Asian version of the Southeast Asian
Colonel
version.
Sanders.
Colonel Sanders must- Yeah. So there you go. Shall I look over to the answers?
Hold on, give everyone a minute.
Give him a minute.
Okie doke.
Some
That's
young
your
guy.
worst one yet, Nathan.
Yeah,
What?
That's your worst one yet.
Oh, it's not, is it?
that was terrible.
Hey, do you know what? Half marks is all right.
Half
Some
marks.
of
I'd be
it's
lucky to get a
all
half
about-
mark between all this lot.
Oh, I've done all right with the 70s questions because you like remember them.
Yeah, all right.
Right, speak for yourselves.
Look over to the top of put the answers.
Hold on, where are you going, Nate?
The screen's going to go nuts.
Hold on.
Wait, look at that tripper.
Right, the answers coming up.
Right, hold on.
Right, don't say them yet.
Where are you?
I think you should go back through them so we can say what we think it is.
Oh God! Really? Answers are gonna pop up. Right. So I don't know if I remember. Oh, this will work. It might work. Who's that?
Zhukov. Marshal Zhukov.
Gorbachev.
Zhukov.
I can't spell it, but I'm right. Tick. Next.
Instrumental in winning the Battle of the Kursk, apparently.
That's where he got one of his medals from.
Possibly. Question number 2. What year did it all go a bit wrong? It was 1980.
6.
Yeah, 1986.
Yeah, 2. 2 in 2.
100% so far. 1 year out, you can have half a point. Question number 3. By which name is Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov better known?
Rasputin.
Ooh.
Oh, Lenin. Oh, well, nearly close. Wrong. Same thing.
Question 4. What's that?
Sputnik 12.
Sputnik Plus.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, whatever.
You'll know it.
Frankincense.
If you don't know it, you'll go, oh my
Me
God.
and-
It's frankincense.
Yeah, it's me. I didn't know
Yes,
that. I
same
can't
thing,
remember
yeah.
that.
Is that a Soyuz capsule on the left of that?
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where's
And on the
Moonraker?
right, they got one each end.
yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
where's
yeah.
Moonraker 5?
I thought that's what you were pointing at, the Soyuz capsules. That's why I put Soyuz to get half point.
Yeah, right.
Soyuz, given that the
Yeah,
student
right.
picture. Right, what city is Leningrad now known as?
St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg.
Yeah, St. Petersburg. That's on your bucket list, isn't it, Matt?
It's on Leslie's bucket list, yes, but I would like to go, I have to say.
In the middle of winter, he'll love it.
Bring back a bottle of
Yeah,
vodka.
well, they have proper winters, don't they? So it's not
They
so
do.
bad. At least it's not
And
wet.
snow. They have snow plows as well, so they can
Yeah. No, I'd go in winter.
Right, 70s round.
ISCO. Callahan.
Yeah,
And Thatcher.
yeah.
Wilson.
Beijing.
Wilson. And
And
Ted Heath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 4.
I
Right,
got
I didn't
two.
realise Thatcher was in that early.
She
79.
came in
Oh, was it? Oh, there you go.
79 she came in right at the end. Was it Callahan that won it twice, or was it Wilson? I forget which one. One of them swapped round. Anyway, question 7. Half a point for 1 year out. What year was it?
77.
77.
78. Oh, I'm 1 out. Oh.
And there's the subliminal message for the next question.
Yeah.
Nixon and Jimmy Carter.
Nixon, Ford, and Carter. Yeah.
Yes.
Ford. Forgot Ford.
I forgot Ford.
I
but
got
there you go.
Nixon only because I saw him in the previous photo.
Was he the vice president for Nixon?
Gerald Ford.
I don't know. Did Nixon get? He got binned, didn't he?
He got. Yeah, he got.
You
Yeah.
got a bit toasted.
Question 9. What
Pong.
is it? It is. It's Pong.
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 Yeah. Question 10. How many World Trade Center buildings? Again, this might be a cause of a bit of argument, but there
3?
were 7.
No.
Is it
God, I put
7?
4.
Oh,
Yeah. Some of them were dead little, tiny little things. But
yeah. I must admit, I went 8, but there you go. Do I get half a point?
I think World Trade Center 7 actually fell as well. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I have to watch the films again. Right, Nordic Noir. That is
Norway.
Norway.
Yeah. Nice easy one. Norway, especially if you're from Norway. Okay, question 12.
Wet and windy.
Slippery when wet.
That is Viking.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've got no idea what that is, mate.
Well, that's a hard question. I will not deny that one. Question 13.
Hans Christian Andersen.
There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
Hans Christian Andersen. I'm just
Did
trying
he?
to get my daughter into some of these stories now. Question 14. This
Iceland.
Iceland.
Indeed it is.
Yes.
I was going to drop a hint about Bjork, but that would have made it too easy. Question 15 was the one about the tank.
That's an S tank.
I'm going to throw this open to S tank or Stridswagen 103.
S tank, that's me.
S tank will do. But there's a bit of disagreement what that's going to be called. Can you get a kit of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trumpet
Yeah.
do one.
That'd be a classic kit for the SIG, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so distinctive. Right, question 16 was the London round. If you're born within the sound of both bells,
You're an EastEnder, aren't you?
Cockney.
Yeah.
Same thing, innit? EastEnders, Cockneys, same thing, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having a joke then.
So just say no, so you don't get the point.
Just for you. I'll know what this
Question
is.
17.
Traitors Gate.
Yeah, Traitors Gate.
Also known as Traders Gate, isn't it?
Traitors Gate, well, point for either. But you didn't want to go through it, especially when Henry VIII was on the throne. Question 18. Ironically, you mentioned him before the question came up. The first 2 victims of Jack the Ripper. He never got caught, did he? Got
Nope.
away with it, scoundrel. Question 19. Crystal Palace is
South.
south the river in Selsdon. And Fulham
North.
is
North.
just
Yeah.
literally on the river, isn't it? But it is north the river. And Hammersmith, I'm guessing? I'm not sure. Right, 21 was the India questions. A punkawalla keeps people cool by using a fan.
I didn't get that.
Fan waver, I put.
Yeah, so they just wave a thing to keep people cool. A chaiwala.
Tea. It's
Tea,
coffee tea,
sir.
innit?
Hold on,
Tea
Dave,
man.
did we not miss one back there
No?
with the 2 ladies' names?
Oh,
Yeah,
they were the
it's
victims
Jack the
of-
Ripper.
Jack the
Oh,
Ripper.
right. Sorry, yeah. So it was, yes.
So a chaiwala makes tea.
Got that one.
Famous rock group that travelled to Rishikesh.
Beatles.
The Beatles.
The Beatles?
I'll put Rolling Stones.
Yeah, it's not the U2 then.
Question 24. The Khyber Pass links Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Oh, I've
It
got
does.
Pakistan. I said India.
Half a point, half a point.
Oh, half a point.
You know, I was thinking Afghanistan and I put India.
You know
It's quite
what?
popular at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's in Pakistan, but it links, obviously, it's the end of the road. You've got the Afghan border.
Yes.
Question 25.
The
Perhaps
Taj
the most-
Mahal.
Yeah, the most famous building in the world was actually built to bury his missus.
Yeah.
I haven't spelt it anywhere near that. But
No,
I
I
haven't
haven't
either,
either.
to be honest.
mine's got a T in the.
Mine's got an H instead of a J.
Mine's got a
Don't
H
worry
and
about
a,
spelling.
I've got H and a J.
I've got a U. It's like,
Right, next one.
Question 26.
That's an RB66.
B66.
Destroyer.
Yeah. RB66
It's
or
an
B66.
RB66 because the B66 never dropped any bombs.
There you go then. I'll take RB or B66. 27, that is McNamara.
I've never known that one.
sorry.
I didn't know him.
No.
Very controversial figure by the end of the war. 28.
Hamburger Hill.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
29.
Linebacker.
Linebacker.
I thought it was Rolling Thunder first.
All right.
I'll put Rolling Thunder.
I
Well,
put Rolling Thunder.
50-50 guess and I'm wrong. And that's last one.
What's the chat from our American members? And Rolling Thunder on that one, I think. Question 30.
Ho Chi Minh.
That is, it's Ho Chi Minh.
I couldn't
And
remember his
road
name.
named after him.
I couldn't remember his name and I put Pokemon.
Pokemon.
That's it. That wasn't too bad. Top your scores up and put them in the chat. I need to work out how to shut the screen's going to go absolutely bonkers for a
It's
second.
all right. Hold on.
16, 17, 18.
How much pick me up?
Blimey, that's got to be an absolute first.
There we go.
That wasn't too bad then, huh?
So we got 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
I have 21.
13,
21 and a half.
14.
17 and a half.
I tell you, I'll proper chuffle myself for that.
That was a hard business.
That was mainly because I knew all 4 prime ministers from the 70s.
So the quiz out of 30, so you had chances of bonus points.
So I almost got half. Is it red in here or is it just the cello taken? I look a bit red on camera and pasty.
That's cello.
The stress.
Yeah, great.
There's some good numbers in here
I
today.
tell you what, there is some good numbers in there. Look, there's a 58. How's that happened? That's Rob.
That's a,
Oh,
that man,
25.
Matthew
Look, there's a
has
lot
the
of
next one.
20s, mid-20s in there. And over on the other ones, we've got some 28s with that. I'm happy with 13. I agree, Darryl. I got 14. I'm with you.
Paul got 14 and a half.
Yeah, that's it. Would you believe 35? No. 25 and 1/2.
17 and a half.
Yeah, I vote Matthew does the next one.
What, with some crayons?
Yeah. What do you know about Frozen and
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Friends?
The Teletubbies, who's the blue one?
Beyond that, do you know anything about Animal Crossing?
No, I haven't actually. I don't know that one. I'll be stumped.
Isla's too young for Nintendo's, thankfully. She won't quite get it yet.
Shit.
Oh well. But no, thank you, Nathan, for that intellectual mind fuck. Yes, very good. It just proves literally I should have gone to university, obviously. Or any
Tell you
more
what.
school.
or just stayed in school.
That's it.
It's
Absolutely.
amazing that Hill 937 though, isn't it? It's
As
just-
my mum still says to this day, he's better with his hands. So, my other half doesn't say that at all, but there you go. Anyway, good job. Well done, Nathan. Well done to everybody for taking part. I hope you feel as stupid as I do.
Definitely.
So it wasn't Mr. KFC at the end then. All right. You know, could have been.
You mean?
Right, okie dokie. So we go. Can we have a war movie quiz next time?
Not a bad
I
idea.
think that's a good idea. It's going
Well,
to
Hill
just include the
937
entire Kelly's Heroes, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Should have really done a James Bond quiz tonight.
It should have been. Yeah, we should have done a James Bond quiz, really.
But
Yes.
I like that because I've got my points.
So you've got till Easter till the next one, I think. So plenty of time.
Christmas?
A Christmas quiz.
We,
Ooh.
hold on, are we having a turkey shoot quiz? That's only a month away, isn't it? We'll be back here all again for that one.
Are we doing it all again on Turkey Shoot weekend?
Apparently.
At least we're building, aren't we?
Yes. Turkey
So
shoot
when-
weekend, for people who don't know, is a bit like this one, apart from we actually try and complete a build within 2 days.
Yeah.
That's ripped.
What dates? Thanksgiving?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Can any of our American friends tell us when Thanksgiving is?
So we know what we're
So
doing.
we know, because we don't know when that is. Wait for it. Satellite delay. Questions about turkeys.
Around the 24th.
Any time
Usually
today?
the end of the month, isn't it?
Yeah. Lynn said he knew so little about Britain. So did we.
23rd, 24th.
So last Thursday in November. Ah.
Oh, we'll be doing the
Wow.
weekend.
Because that's right, you have to just have it so close to Christmas dinner, isn't it?
Last Thursday in November, so it'll be the one after that. It should be the 21st, 24th.
Yeah, I reckon we won't get turkeys this year here, so we'll be having American style.
Don't you
Christmas
start
dinner.
that. Don't start. It's like petrol. You get one turkey farmer says, "Oh, there won't be enough for plucking it," and there'll be a worldwide shortage because Sky News will be all over it.
I fancy a change from turkey this year. Anyway, it's like fancy just doing it differently one year. Have a goose.
You know,
Goose.
Back in the day.
I fancy doing it differently by going somewhere warm.
Stop that shout. It was Gerald Ford, vice president. Did Richard Nixon get sort of?
Yeah, he had
impeached?
a meltdown, didn't it?
Yeah, Watergate.
Watergate. So was
Yeah.
Gerald Ford Richard Nixon's vice president who took over?
I don't know. Was it?
Did it like that, where you're no longer president and they passed it on to the vice president?
Paul Selwood says, I hope there's not a model shortage. In fact, there is going to be a model shortage, so you need to buy them now.
This is
right,
true. Perhaps we should kick this one off here. You won't be able to buy any paints or glues or Flory washes or pigments or sanders because there is a shortage coming.
At least till next week.
But Nixon stepped down.
So get them in there quick.
Ford was his vice president. There you go.
Nixon stepped down, more like
I
pushed
think
off.
it was like resign before you get fired, wasn't it? Really?
Definitely.
Watergate was the thing at the hotel, wasn't it? In Washington. I need to watch that film again. It's been years since I've watched that.
That's the one with Sheen in it, who plays. Oh God, what's his name?
Barry Sheen.
No, the Welsh actor, very good actor. Can't think of his name.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen, that's the one. Thanks.
They're doing something where I work.
David Frost. He plays David Frost, doesn't he?
Frost,
Did he race motorbikes as well?
At my work, they're not making all the staff, but they're encouraging all
Charlie's brother, isn't it?
classic films. So this week's film is Taxi Driver.
All right, okay. That's a fun watch.
I've never seen it.
You looking at me?
That's the one, but I've never seen it.
So when Nathan comes on in a couple of weeks with a Mohican, we know he's been affected by the film.
Taxi Driver. I think Ford Nixon, I'm going to have to put that on the Netflix list if it's on Netflix, I think. Interesting times, wasn't it, the 70s?
We've got zombies in it. So what we're going to do now then? We've got like 40 minutes.
Questions?
Yes,
Modelling?
post that. So one of the questions we had earlier was about the filters that we use.
Filters.
Filters. So these filters here are, I have one here. These. So Matt knows more about these than I do, to be honest. Do you know the technical term, Matt?
No, I don't know. I just used to just put them in and go, clearly just booth filters, aren't they?
Yeah, so you can buy them on the internet, and like I do, I buy it via, it's like 1 metre by 20 metres and a giant roll. Obviously it's too much for normal people, but I've sort of sliced mine up. I'm down to very low these days because this lot have had a load. And I just replaced the ones that are in here. There's a video all about it. But basically these just pull away and then I push these back up inside and you're good to go.
I need some more, Philip, look.
Yeah, that's all right, I can use some more.
That was as black as that.
Now I'm not moving out of here for a while, I need to
He's going to change his filter.
I do, yeah.
Andy's must look like it as well, but he's got a load anyway.
I think I might have
Oh look, Sam's back!
Yay!
Yay!
Prodigal son returns.
The prodigal son's return.
Look at him.
Bless him, he's malnourished, he needs a hot bath, some food.
He's going to go straight on his computer, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's it. Never to be seen again.
Sam's been at university for the people that are wondering.
Yeah,
For
Sam's
2
just come
weeks.
back. He's been there for
Sorry,
2
2
weeks
weeks.
and he's home.
And that was it. Shell collapsed and couldn't leave him any longer. She had to
That's
bring him
it.
back.
He's going back tomorrow, but he's only come home to get his clothes washed.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he's only got one pair.
yeah.
Oh dear.
Great Flory brush off. Ooh, that's not a bad idea for a turkey shoot film. And brush painting though. Ooh.
No, this stuff is actually spray booth filter, but you buy it in giant rolls, you see. So obviously you can buy it in smaller rolls, but the smaller the roll, obviously the price goes up. So like I've said before, if you've got a few friends locally, if you buy a big roll of it, what you can actually do is just chop it up into filter sizes between you and your friends, and the cost is really quite cheap. It works out, instead of it being literally a lot of pounds per filter. It works out to 10 pennies a filter to do it. So it's definitely quite a cost-effective way of changing your filters, especially if you go through them a lot. Andy, clearly, I gave him that filter some 2 years ago, and he still hasn't changed his one in his spray booth.
Oh, is it an inch and a bit thick?
Yeah.
Because I've still got the original
25 mil thick, aren't they, I think?
It's about the same.
You're still muted.
Yeah, 25 mil.
Yeah, so it's 25 mil filter material. You can buy it on eBay as well, but if you go directly to that one, I think comes from the filter company, because it comes in a giant roll, but it worked out really, really cheap. I know the price has gone up because I bought that giant roll probably about 5 years ago now, 5-6 years ago, and it worked out about sort of, I think it's 40 quid for, it's like 1 metre by 40 metres, I think it was. So I've still got half a roll of it underneath the house in the lockup.
It does last, doesn't it?
It does last, you know, and it is good because, to say, if your filter's not filtering, it's not a lot of point running it, is it, Andy?
No.
No.
I have changed it once.
Yeah, but you've had the filter 20 years.
I like to get my about with me money's worth.
Absolutely.
How much are the extractors nowadays?
Oh, they're about 300.
Yeah, I think they're just under 300 quid. I think they're about 285 or 290 at the moment.
Right. Still good value for money though for the.
They last forever, though, don't they?
But the thing is, if again, we're not selling it correctly here. If you use their filters, change them before you send it back. They come with a lifetime warranty.
They do.
As long as you use their filters. Remember that, everyone.
Yeah.
So keep one of the legit filters in a bin bag, so when you send it back, you can. I mean, these things are the same ones that they use at schools and stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of, not in full industry settings, but they used them in the science labs where I used to work, where they were doing all the chemical stuff. The same extraction filters.
Tim says, how many times you change it per year? It's a loaded question. It depends how often you use it.
Yeah.
I can get it. It just depends.
I changed mine literally a couple of weeks ago, but I've done a lot of big projects recently, so it's loaded it up. But I still do this thing. It's one of those, you can just feel it. If your extractor's not extracting, you're looking around and thinking it's a bit hazy in here. That's the time you need to change your filter, because clearly it's not pulling it through straight away. So
It depends also how you use it, because I always spray my excess paint into one of these.
Yeah,
So I never spray it into my filter.
you don't spray in towards your spray booth anyway. I've seen you. You spray at your feet.
Oh yes, that's one. But I've watched other people, Matt. When you've got a empty, he sprays it into the filter.
I
So
do
that
it as
obviously
well.
clogs-
Look.
Yes, that obviously clogs up more, doesn't it? Quicker.
But it's thinner. Paint
Yeah, it's just
sprays
blows through.
thinner into a filter.
Yeah, no, but it's still blocking your filter up, isn't it? It's still putting extra stuff into your
I've got
filter.
like a bit of paint left. I'll whack it in there and then put.
I just chuck it. Spray everything into there. You see.
I do the same as Andy. So the last bit of the paint goes in there, then the thinners mix with paint goes in there.
No, I must admit, I'm a bit like Matt. I do spray like most of it, but then I want to see how clean it is, so I spray at the filter to see if it's clear.
Yeah.
I've got like an old food container that I put paper in, like kitchen roll in, and then just spray it into that.
Yeah, I have kitchen roll in the bottom of that.
I wouldn't
And
say
whenever
it's
It's like a
And then
cup, really.
Yeah. Then when I finished it, I'll chuck it down the toilet.
just to answer Dave, because he said, could you use cooker filters? No, because they're not designed. They're designed for smells, not thingy, aren't they? Cooker filters.
Yeah,
They're a different filter.
it's a different filter system.
Yeah, you need like a proper.
Simon's asking, will next year's group build and 6 be discussed tonight?
So we can do it if we've got questions. Throw them up. Half an hour.
And also, Dave's asked, when I use that enamel wash today, is it okay to put over acrylics? Perfectly fine,
Just not enamels.
because it's not enamels. If you're doing it over your Humbrol number 25, it will not be nice, but it'll be absolutely fine. Lacquers, it's great over lacquers as well. Won't bring them
I'm
back
not
up.
drinking this. Sorry, there's no chance of drinking what's it. Be enough.
To be honest, this isn't far off.
It literally looks like it's about to evolve into something. I mean, this one's not. I can't even get the lid off.
How do we decide whether to put aftermarket parts on our builds?
If you see them, if it's worth it.
With these decals, I'm regretting it.
A lot of it also depends on the quality of the base kit, doesn't it? I mean, he says he puts exhaust and wheels on every without fail, but
I tend to buy seat belts because I think they sometimes are needed. Tend not to bother with wheels, and rarely, if ever, buy wheels. Wheel wells, I can't see the point. But it generally depends what I want. A lot of the builds I want to get quite a good sort of 3-foot. That's what's my sort of mission this year, is or sort of way of working, is build on and off the bench quite quick. So I've not added anything apart from seat belts this year.
I've dropped one on the floor as well, Tim, but mine didn't. My top came off and all went all over the floor. I've got a nice stain on the floor down here now.
You've got the telling off.
I mean, I can understand. Resin wheels are quite good if you've got a really particular tyre tread, because when they're moulded, so they have a seam lining, you end up taking the tread off, don't you?
I think with the thing with aftermarket, it's one of those things where we've spoken about before, where if you go back to the 90s, kits were quite basic. So if you wanted to just lift them to the next sort of level and add detail, you would need a certain aftermarket. So it may be, I'm thinking about a resin cockpit, and in those days you were talking literally like airwaves, black box, things like that for it. So you might want to go down that route if you wanted to put that level in. But as we've seen over the last 20 years now, you know, Tamiya, but also other manufacturers, their detail has got better and better and better, to the point now, like with Tamiya kits, really, what do you need? You know, to really bring them, there's nothing in perhaps your spares box, a little bit of lead wiring, maybe a little bit of, you know, hose work, things like that for detailing engines and inside cockpits, and you've got a perfectly acceptable, as I would say, detailed cockpit for, say, like World War II. And if you look at more modern stuff, you know, because modern aircraft are like glass cockpits now, there's, you know, very few switches and dials and stuff, so there's not a lot going on inside cockpits anyway, because it's all touchscreen and that. You're going to need less and less and less to make them, you know, interesting, so to speak, because they're not interesting, they're quite plain and boring. So from that point of view, I don't think they need it. And we've seen the same with armour as well, because armour before used to be quite basic in its form. So you'd buy like aftermarket tools and equipment, accessories, armour, things like that for them. But now modern kits are that well done, I don't think they need it as much. Because let's face it, even Edard's big zoom sets that they used to do, wasn't it? The big ones, big Ed sets, you know, which used to have like 10 different sets in and all the bits and pieces. Those seem to have died off now. They don't do them like they used to, because kits, really modern kits, don't need them. Obviously older ones do. And if you wanted to go down that route, that's absolutely fine. But you know, it's like we said with the Revel stuff versus Tamiya, it's not got quite, you know, that sort of finesse to it, but you could obviously add a few selective aftermarket parts to bring it up to scale and, you know, to give it some nice detail to it.
I mean, I quite often, if I'm doing like 72nd scale, even 48 scale, I generally close canopies in that anyway, so to be honest, there's not a lot of point detailing it up too much, because you're not going to see any of it.
No.
Just in a YouTube chat, Just Right said, wasn't the Panther at Bovington made in England from captured parts? No, it was made in Germany by the German workforce, but it was a British officer, basically the British. We took over the plants and moved them all into one plant, and then we made so many Panthers and Jagdpanthers out of the remaining parts, and the one at Bovington was one of those that were made after the war.
It wasn't a service.
By workforce.
It was never in service or anything. It was just coming along the production line, wasn't it, at the time, and put together.
They basically, they moved all the parts into another factory, because the main factory where they put them all together was so badly damaged they couldn't actually use the machinery there, so moved them all somewhere else and then put them all together. I think the one that was found in that chap's basement, that was one of those as well, I believe.
Mark, you guys love
It'd come over to England and then ended up in a scrapyard, and he bought it and then did it all up and put it in his basement, and then
Is that the one that's been confiscated?
yeah, which was weird because apparently it was actual German army helped him rebuild it.
Oh, right, okay.
I never fully understood why they confiscated it.
I think it was more to do with most of the memorabilia and stuff he got, which was stolen, and the tiger just makes a big, the panther makes a good, because it's a big tank in it. So, it's like makes more of a
Makes more news headlines than that.
Statement, than a statue that would come out of a
A couple of questions YouTube chat talking about, since we're not apparently going to get the Tang model Buccaneer, do you guys think it's worth getting the Airfix one and then sticking a ton of aftermarkets in it to make it more accurate? Well, Nathan's done the Airfix one. What do you think?
I think generally it's accurate as it stands. The cockpit definitely needs a bit of work. So you can get a Neomega resin cockpit for it. The Airwaves wing fold set, I wouldn't bother because it doesn't look anything like the real thing. But yeah, definitely the cockpit. I didn't put anything else on. I mean, the whole problem with the Airfix Buccaneer is it needs a bit of sanding, filling, and persuasion. But shape-wise, I don't remember anyone moaning about the shape. But that is one of those. That's the era where kits needed a little bit of help, isn't it? So if you buy a cockpit set, you get 2 decent ejector seats and you get nice instrument panels and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's worth putting a cockpit in. Definitely. The thing you will need is decals, because the kit decals are a bit.
Have you sold your 2 yet, Matthew?
No, they'll be coming up for sale very soon. So.
The S one. I'm tempted by the S one.
Dave says, a tip for mixing Tamiya acrylic thinner black into the paint pot. Is this frowned upon, guys? No, I do it all the time. If I'm down to my last bit and I'm going to mix it up, I just put thinners into the paint, like a 50-50 mix, for instance, as a start, and then just shake it up and it's good to go then.
Get that last
I think he means once he's finished painting and what he's got left in the colour cup.
Oh, tip it back. Yeah, I do that all the time, every single time.
We do it, don't we?
The way I look at it is the chances are it's going to thicken up because you've opened up the pot, it's going to be gassing off and all the bits and pieces. So me rethinning it by tipping back what I've just done, it can only help it.
Yeah.
And you get to learn the thickness of your paint anyway, don't you? So if you open a pot up and you think, that's a bit thin, don't put as much thinners in it when you do it next time. So
I've always, that's why I prefer Tamiya over Hitaka is the jars.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tip them back in. Whereas Hitaka, you spray it into that.
Yeah.
You know.
I must admit, I do pull the top of the Hitaka ones off, get a bit of tissue paper, bounty, pull it on and pull it off and try and get it back in because I am that tight. But that is my only downside to all of the dropper type bottles. They're all fantastic for actually putting it in, but you can't put it back afterwards. And I know a lot of people say, oh, you should never do it and all the rest of it. I've done it always my entire life. So, and to me, that's the only downside to them. And I still do it. When I did the Vulcan, the green and all the rest of it, it all got tipped back into the bottle once I finished painting.
At the end of the day, though, them dropper bottles, you can buy, like the Tamiya jars. You can buy empty ones, other people do them, and obviously I bet you can get them. So why don't you just do, because I've seen a lot of figure painters actually go the other way around. With Citadel paint pots, they hate them, so they decant them into dropper bottles, and then re-stick the label of the, Citadel paint or whatever it's called around the pot. So I'm just wondering, could you do that with the Attacker one? So
wait for a new series of bottles coming in. What, they 10ml, aren't they? In 10, are the others 10ml or are they a bit more? 17 mil. If I just do 20ml ones soon, then we'll cash in.
I keep my old. Do you know what? If you put when you finish with the Tamiya paint pot, you put boiling water in it. The paint just flakes off. And then you soak the lids. So that's not a bad shout, actually, to maybe put your spare Hitaka paints in a little thingy. But yeah, if you put boiling water in a Tamiya paint pot, that'll get the label off, and it'll also get.
To be honest, I used to do that, and I haven't done it recently because I've been using other stuff. But back in the day, I used to have a load of them, put them in the sink, run the hot tap, just leave them floating in there. The labels, as you say, all come off nicely. Quick rinse that, stick your finger in, all the rest of it, leave them on the draining board, and you have a load of perfectly usable glass jars. So think of recycling, people.
Because Rob just made a point. How many bottles do you need? But they are if you buy the empty ones, they're a bit pricey, aren't they?
Mm. Yeah, but they do.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout actually.
They do the bigger ones as well, the taller bottle. You know, like what you get 100 in. You know, like GX 100, that size.
Yeah.
You can get them as empty bottles as well. So you get a 10 ml and I don't know what the size. I ain't got my thing here because I've packed it away. But
they're 18.
Are they 17, 18 mil?
I think this is it goes at 40 on this one.
I don't know, somebody put another label right over the top.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, well done. They put the label right over the top. I don't know actually, that looks like it still says 10 mil. Yeah, it does. That's wrong then. So the label that they put over the top of this one, because obviously this has come from our supplier, has covered it up, and obviously it's a universal one to the other size bottles because it says net 10 mil.
Does, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it's not, because clearly that's more than 10 mil in there.
Yeah.
So this bigger Tamiya jar I've got has got a scale and it goes up to 40.
There you go. It's net 18 mil they are.
Yeah.
If you scrape it up a bit at the bottom, it's got the Japanese one. It says net 18 mil. Yeah, just above the bit, Andy, where it says made in Japan, it says 18 mil.
Yeah, I've ripped mine off, yeah.
So,
is that the health and safety sticker they've put on it, like what we have?
Yeah, the ones we have to do with the Tamiya, yeah.
Which is wrong, which is obviously wrong.
Which is wrong, yeah. So it makes you wonder what it does, how that is to that product.
Shall we throw the chat open to group build and SIG discussions before we finish? Then I've got about 15-20 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's got questions, queries, thoughts, feedback? There might be a couple of typos in that document I put up, but when I spot them, I will
adjust,
edit and upload. So I have just done an edit on it, but 2020 Top 10 Awards. Won't the professionals who are members and have their builds published regularly in books, magazines have an advantage, especially in the text and photography department? We're not judging the quality of photograph.
Yes.
Or the quality of builds. A smartphone snap will do. We're not looking for essays, like really detailed accounts. I mean, I think what I'm going to be doing is, rather than sort of massively describing the paints I've used, I'm just going to put a pile of paints up and say I've used these on the cockpit. I think what we've had in the past is people not sort of, it's like bish bash bosh done, 3 pictures and that's a build thread. That's what we're trying to step away from. I mean, what we're doing is we're keeping the medals for 10 builds rather than getting rid of them completely. It's more about just the quality of the photographs are not going to snaps from an iPhone are fine. It's just telling the story, like taking us through the 10 or 12 steps. Because some build threads start with a box top picture and a content, and then the next picture you see the fuselages together, then the next post it's finished.
Yeah.
So those builds were getting medals, and what we're not looking for is, we're not going to do grammar or judging the quality of communication. We're just looking for someone who's putting a little bit of time in, taking us through week by week of how their build is progressing. No, that is the intention, was not to sort of turn it into a competition. It was just to recognise the builders that have put a bit more effort in than just bish bash bosh done, get a medal.
I think some people haven't seen the show this afternoon yet, so haven't seen what the categories are.
Yeah, I mean my build from the Comrade Buller one, I need to put the last few posts up, but I'm sort of putting that up as a sort of benchmark, like not as a minimum, but this is the sort of thing we're looking for, and people that take it further than that are going to be getting the running for the medals.
David says it doesn't matter that you're a professional photographer, David, because we're not judging the quality of the photos. It's nothing about that at all. It's just the effort that people are putting into doing their build thread.
And it's nothing to do with
it for anyone else that looks at it.
It's nothing to do with the quality of the completed build either.
No.
It's the spirit of the group build. Have you sort of like, done, your best to sort of like show what we're doing?
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, like we said, everything just now and then needs a little bit of a shake-up just to make it, work a little bit better. And for the last almost sort of, 20 years, we've been doing medals and various things. And to be honest, there is a huge cost to this. It costs us around about depending obviously how many people enter, but normally between 1,800 and £2,500 to do each group build because of the medals being sent out, the postage costs, blah, blah, blah. So there is a certain cost to it. And it's just that thing that over over the last few years and things like that, is that, a lot of people are just chucking up willy-nilly type stuff. And I've never singled anybody out. I've never told anybody that doesn't qualify. And I've always sent out the medals to every single person who basically put up a reveal photo at the end of it. And in some cases, it was literally one photo. So, and I've dutifully sent them a medal because they've completed it and done it. But I think over the years, it's just got to that point where more and more, the cost has been going up a lot because obviously we've got more members now and obviously the cost of it goes in. And I have to pick up, the bottom line at the end of the day. So it is this thing about this year when we were doing photo hosting now, that's a massive, it cost me a hell of a lot. We're talking thousands and thousands every year on top of it. And as we've all known, fuel costs have gone up. Everything cost has gone up everywhere. So we had to put up the cost of the site as well. But that was totally voluntary. And most people still are at the old rate as well, which I don't mind. But it's just that thing that we're just trying to spend the money wisely, if you know what I mean, of where it goes and all the rest of it. So we just thought, or I thought mainly, I can't, obviously it was my idea that I put up to the guys, was that perhaps we'll have a situation where we'll just pick 10 of what we feel is the best builds. And again, it's not the model. I think people need to step away. It's not what they've done or anything else like that. It's just the ones that have taken the care, attention and just gone that extra mile to put it in. Everybody will still get in the reveal video at the end. You'll still get your virtual type medals and your bits and pieces that you can put up. But I think in some ways, if you're thinking, well, I'm not doing it if I don't get a medal, honestly, I don't want you to enter it because that's not the whole point of from day one. When we started this back in 2005, was about when we were doing it, it was about bringing us together and having that sort of comradeship about building things. And also during the group builds, supporting each other. So when you're building it and it's turning into a nightmare, having other members come along saying, look, what you need to do is this, you need to push on with it, try this technique and all the rest of it. So you move forward. And at the end of it, what you achieve is like a photo journal of what you've been working on. And what a lot of members now do, they go in the old forum, stick in the search about a Spitfire Mark II, and then it comes up with the build. And then people can follow along so they can see what kit you used, if you used any aftermarket, what paints you've used, if you've come across any problems with it, and they can use that as a guide to build their own models and be inspired by you to do a great job on their model. And they might follow your work literally word for word. You've done it, they really like your way, they like the style, they like the paint colours, they like your weathering, and they'll follow you right the way through. And that gives them that little bit of confidence as well, because they're building along with somebody else. And perhaps then, if you're still a member as well, that they can actually come to you and say, just seen your work, you did that fantastic Mark II Spitfire 10 years ago, I'm following along your build, I've just noticed, and ask questions. And I know, like when people say to me, you built that one 2 months ago, and I'm like, but they'll probably remember it a little bit better and can help you with your build as you're making your way through. And that was always the thing to it. It was just that sort of coming together as a family to support each other during the builds. And sometimes we've done some group builds which are completely left field and people have gone, well, I've got nothing I can build for that. But they've been some of the best builds we've ever done. You know, really interesting stuff. So if you go back to things like we did the South America one, we got moaned at like Billio for that one. But we had probably the most interesting schemes. We saw colours that people have never used in their life and camos and things like that. And it was fantastic because people then suddenly thought, do you know what, this is really good. I would never have done one of these, but actually it turned out really, really nice. And it's a favourite build of mine that I've ever done, you know, and that type of thing. And that's what we try and do and inspire to these things. It's nothing to do with a bit of plastic with a metal plate on the front. You know, so
I love my Chilean Air Force F-16.
I think the point to make as well is if you're a person that's not really into doing the whole build thread thing and you just want to put a few photos up, you can do it.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, that was the other choice, wasn't it? We're looking at kicking people out of group builds because the build threads are not up to scratch.
Yeah.
Now we're possibly not doing that.
No.
We're letting people just join in and do a build. It also gets rid of the thing where it seems to have stopped now, but people were just squeezing in builds on some completely tenuous, nonsensical link to the theme. And that again, you don't have to do these mega build threads. You're going to get a virtual medal still. You're still going to be part of the group build. But for me, the group build thread that's going to win, it runs a bit like Phil's video.
Yeah.
Because imagine if Phil just took out parts 2 and 3 of a video build. That's what some build threads are like. Oh, it's really good, and bam, wow, it's finished.
Yeah.
So just think of if you watch a video build thread, we're not putting videos up, but the pictures should do the same. And if you interact, you answer questions, you post up. You don't have to photograph every single stage of construction. You just have to tell the story. And when something interesting or awkward happens, then you do a post on that. But I think hopefully it might get rid of that pressure to finish like that. You know, just take your time. Join in with the social aspect of your build, because if you do a build thread and 3 days later it's finished, nobody's had the time to sort of get involved with your build and ask you questions. It's all done. Off it goes.
And that's the point. I think Nathan's just, struck it beautifully. Over the last, as you say, I would say 5 years, there's been a definite change in the reaction to the actual group builds, that people were building it for the medal at the end. That's all it was. And it was just that thing. And you could see how people would like literally work their way through the build. And then because it gets to the point where you got a month left, suddenly you'd get, it's here. And then the next photo, it's done. And you're like, so hold on, what happened to the bit about paintwork and all the rest of it, And again, it was just that thing where you're like, okay, right, fair enough. Well, obviously, and don't forget, at the end of the day, we're all human. We've all got time constraints. We've all got life, which gets in the way. All right, not so much this 3 on that 3 on that parallel, but because obviously they're paid. But it's the thing is that for most of us, it is that thing where you've only just got a few hours of your day, and sometimes life literally just gets in the way and you can't finish, or you haven't had time to take photos. And I must admit, I get messages from the members all the time saying, look, really sorry, I didn't get time to finish it and all the rest of it. And I'm the first one to say, just chuck it up, don't worry about it. Life gets in the way and all the rest of it. But as I said, it's this thing where we've got a cost factor coming into it. The difficulties of just sending a medal into Europe have been an absolute ball ache for me this last year. As I said, I've had, probably 30 come back to me, which some I've had to resend again, and I'm picking up the cost every time. So it's just that thing about, at the end of the day, something's got to give. So there has to be a better way. And again, it's just this thing about, I think people have lost sight on why the reason the medals were sent out. It was my thank you for you guys, or our thank you for you guys for taking the time to do it all. And that was the whole point. It was nothing about having the medal. It was you guys giving something back and all the rest of it. So we still want to do that. You still get the video, you'll get the kudos and all the rest of it. But as I say, it'll be more of something you can either print off and then pin on the wall next to your model, like John's got his things behind him and all the rest of it. If you wanted to do it that way, there'll be the thing that will go in your forum as well. So a little thing to say you've completed that bit as well into your signature and those types of things. So it will display nicely at the bottom of your each post and thread you put up. So again, it's just, it's just changing it. We're just tweaking it slightly and moving it, you know, like we do. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, with the Flory Models site, it's been going 20 odd years now. And from day one to how we are now is a million miles apart. And it's that thing. It's just changing it and tweaking it. And everybody hates change and everyone gets up in arms when it happens and all the rest of it. But we've made huge changes over the last few years. And I think they're all for the better, you know. So from our point of view, it's just tweaking a little bit. Don't worry about it. But like we've always said, if you don't want to take part, there's no gun to your head. You don't have to. You can literally just do a normal build as you wanted to, put it up. You're still going to get your pictures up on a Friday for the gallery work and all the other stuff that go with it. So I wouldn't worry about it.
I mean, obviously I don't really get time to go through every single build thread in the group build section, the SIG section, but what I tend to look for, I look at the ones that have got a lot of comments in, because they're generally the ones where the other members have interacted with the person doing the build thread.
Yeah.
And I normally find they're the interesting ones.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
if you get one that's only got, you know, half a dozen comments on, then that's normally one where it's just like a picture of the box, picture chucked together halfway through, and then it painted at the end. Yeah. But the really interesting ones will like have, well, a lot of the time it runs into hundreds of comments, doesn't it?
But again, sometimes as well is that I think it's this thing, you can have a new modeler who's asking questions and doing a build thread. Some of those are the best ones because again, you get the guys who are old hats at this and got good advice, but also just offering support to somebody who's, especially the newer guys who have either come back to the hobby or new to it totally. It's a massive steep learning curve, and you get guys come in now and it's like helping them along. And you can see the build go along very, very nicely with lots of helpful hints and tips and stuff coming along. And that's really what we've always tried to do. And again, I know life gets in the way. I'm the biggest one of it. And to say, as things get bigger, and I think Matt will totally agree, but you know, when it's a small company as well, you've got lots of time on your hands. When things get big, there's always something to get on with. So you tend to take your eye off the ball, and you can't watch the forum 24/7. Like I used to have the forum on totally and be answering it all the time. But over the last 5 years, it's really difficult to keep up with it because it moves so quickly as well. You know, so again, it's the forum, like I've always said, and it's going to sound one of those, you know, get the violins out, but it's the Flory family. It's the forum, and the actual members make Flory models. It's got nothing to do with this. It's got nothing to do with YouTube. It's got nothing to do with social media. It's us as a group being there for each other, and we have that certain little thing, and I know it winds a lot of people up clearly on the internet because we've got our fair share of haters who will go out and stab us in the back every time you can get, but what they hate is that closeness we have a group about being supportive to each other. You know, and that's the whole point to it.
That might be a route. One of the winning build threads, or not will happen, but might become a winning build thread because the person building it is asking questions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They might put up, I've got this bit coming up, how do I do it? And that's perhaps where the build, that could be the route. So that could, in theory, mean the most novice builder rises to the top of the pile of build threads, and really, some builds really capture the sort of theme of the group build as well. Thinking David's like hippie bus. You know,
absolutely.
that is, if you want to see a good build thread, that one that, you know, that for me defined the group build, that build, you know, so that again, that's another sort of route to the top of the pile, because it was, to be honest, the members have been really good this year, but you wind back 3 or 4 years, people were just looking for loopholes in the law. They're like little lawyers looking for gaps in the rules.
That's it.
Just trying to get through, and that drove us mad. But now when people embrace the theme of the group build is going to be a way of doing a winning build thread, because then that captures the imagination of the people following the group build.
Can I just say something? Greg's put a comment up here about like newbies and obviously finding their way around and obviously getting under the feet under the table. But it's for you guys who are the regulars on there to support them on their builds, because they probably look to some of the builds that you've done for inspiration and to see how to do it. So you think that you are like the established members, and obviously the new guys coming in, you know, probably look at some of your build threads, or you know, for inspiration or whatever. So it's like Phil said, it's supporting each other, isn't it?
And the thing is, Lynn is saying about some of us are unfamiliar of how you want things done. There is no right way of doing it. Don't get us wrong. There's no, like, you know, you start here and move through. It's up to you to put in the information you want. You know, it's this thing about, you might put in very short comments, for instance, but it's very short and punchy, and you don't need any more. It's not like you need to do an essay in like 5,000 words how you put, you know, 2 bits of plastic together, because no one really probably cares about that. But if you've got a problem with it, you might just want to point out that this bit here has got a bit of flash. You probably want to get rid of that. You know, invaluable. Yeah, absolutely. You know, no problem at all with that. Or this clearly just doesn't fit, you know, or something else like that. But it's how you word it, because don't forget, at the end of the day as well, it's you doing the builds. You know, it's not like us doing the builds. Like everyone talks about, and obviously I get commented about how I pronounce words, some of my quirky sayings and things like that, and how I use words far too much, and I wish I wouldn't. And I get, you know, to be honest, quite a bit of hate over some of my comments I make as well. And I get messages saying, oh, I wish you wouldn't say this and all the rest of it. But it's what makes you you. I don't just want to be the BBC. You know, and that's the whole point. It's a bit like you're wording it, how you do it. It's your personality that sort of comes through, you know, and that's the whole point to it. You don't want to have just a monotone, well, this is how I build a model, I glue the two sections, put it together, because let's face it, it's going to be dreary. So you want to put your spin on it as well, you know, so we know you as modelers, because let's face it, unless you're doing this face to face, it's very difficult to know what's in a 2D format of text. So put your own spin on it, do your own thing, isn't it? If you want to write a big thing, write a big thing. If you want to keep it quite short, keep it quite short, but it should be you. That's the whole point. Like, it's as individual as your model and your weathering style. Like we were saying about, if we all build the models to that, in theory, they should all turn out the same.
Yeah.
But the bit is, from there onwards, it's you. Because it'll be completely different to what I could make, what any of the guys could make, and what you could make at home. And that's the whole point of it. And that's what the best thing is about this model. Because let's face it, what would be really shit if you went to a model show and every model looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
They never do. That's why I'm not digging this blooming DR1, I think, because it's going to just look exactly the same as someone else's. But I mean, one of the classic things is when people have painted the cockpit, you don't need to give a blow-by-blow account of what you've done. You could just put, this is my cockpit, and a photograph of the paints you've used. So people, if a person wanted to imitate your technique, they can then maybe put the weathering product next to it and say, these are the materials I used to paint the cockpit. Not really got much to say about it, and then people can follow that sequence of what you've done, and then when you do get to a bit where it won't go in, that's the bit where you're drawing people's attention to your build.
But if you do want to do a blow-by-blow thing in your cockpit, then
absolutely
go for it. Yeah. So
there's no right or wrong.
No, I mean, what I've done, I think, is sort of, I've tried to, but whether it's succeeded or not, put my Yak 1 as sort of a run-of-the-mill build thread. Not the minimum, not a good one, just something that's a typical one. But it is down to time. I'm mindful that people do only have an hour at the bench, and it can take an extra 10-20 minutes to put a build thread together. But you can literally I just use the lighting I've got to build with. I get my iPhone out and take pictures on my phone, upload directly from my phone. I don't use photo editing software, and then I just try to roughly, even if sometimes it's a bit bullet pointy, just a list of what I've done. That's enough. I've
got a thing here just to say, you know, and obviously these are just photos. You'll get, this is the thing that's coming your way in a minute. But literally, like down in here, you could just take a photo like that, and literally you could just explain roughly what you're seeing from a point of view from that. So you could say, look, you know, I've sprayed this, I've done the cockpits and all the rest of it. And then like next picture, I've got a picture of me holding the colour. So in here, you would say literally straightforward job, cockpit went together really well, no problems at all. I had no fit issues with this at all. I used Tamiya XF71 as the base colour right the way through, two-tone colour on this one. So it's XF85 and a little bit of X1. Just for the gloss work for the centre 6 and do it that way. way, you know, and then obviously you could simply say, you know, no fit issues putting it through, dream fit, because it was literally. And if you wanted to, you could say it was a quick dry brushing job right the way over it, simple oil wash, because again, that's all it literally was. Gluing, no problem. Used a bit of setting glue, you know, used the thicker glue round in here because I find it's easier. If you try and use thin glue, it dries too quickly, you know, various stuff. Same thing with round wing areas, using the thicker glue, stuff like that. Used a pair of scissors to pinch it together so you don't get gluey fingerprints, and also, as you can see, it oozes out. It's perfect for sanding, various things. Scrape cleaned it, you know, going right the way through for it. Sprue goo, because it's a quick and easy way of filling it, no problems at all. Just remember, let it dry for sort of 12 hours before you try and sand it. When you do sand it, seamless, turned out brilliantly. Very happy of how it was going. And then obviously use an Alex scraper because of the curved edge, so it does this edge so it conforms to the front for the cleanup for all those little bits you saw in the other photo, so forth and so on. So you don't have to be massively into it. You're just explaining with a few photos as you make your build through. You know, as you say, no one's expecting War and Peace. You know, no one's expecting a Haynes manual of how to strip your Ford, you know, Escort Mark II. You know, it's literally just supposed to be a thing. So just when people can follow on, and then they could say, that Alex scraper, is it any good? You know, where'd you get it? You know, used a thingy scraper there. What's that like? You know, so it starts that conversation.
I've lost count the number of times that you read a build thread and you see a technique or someone doing something, and you think to yourself, "That's a bloody good idea. I've never
absolutely,
thought of that."
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just the same. Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think that's one thing that people forget is that, you know, I know I'm not just trying to be big-headed here, but people look to me as if I'm a know-it-all. And because I've been modelling and I've been doing it sort of professionally as my full-time job for the last 25 years, that I know everything. I don't. I can be honest here. I am definitely not the best modeler in the world, and I look at everybody else's like people may look at me, or probably not, and think that's amazing. I'll never get to that level because I look at other people. As I said, I will get Carl on here one day, and he is an amazing modeler, but he is so, one, he's tight, but secondly, he'll love you for that, he's very, very, what's the word I'm looking at? He doesn't like his work being shown. He won't let me show his work. Yet he is one of the best modelers I know, but he doesn't want to be known for it. He doesn't like living in the limelight. He works for a lot of AAA companies over the years. He's a very, very talented guy. He's worked on a lot of films as well, very famous films, but he will never let me say who he's worked on because he's not one of those people. You know, and to be honest, he's now giving it up to live on a farm doing the good life. Weird. But again, you get people like that. That's the other flip of the coin. And I look up to him because he's an amazing modeler. I look at Matt and see Matt's figure painting. Could never do that in a million years. That's like alchemy to me. You know, Andy's got techniques as well that he does with armor and stuff and various things. Nathan as well. John's got techniques as well. And everybody's got different ways of skinning that cat. Oh, sorry for cat lovers. Dogs as well. Pandas. Children, whoever, but you know, and that's the thing. I would never say I'm an amazing modeler, but that's the point. I'll go through builds on our site and other sites as well, and people will say to me, "Have you tried?" And I'm like, "Nope." And then you're thinking, "How have I gone my entire life and not known about this?" If you want to know one of the biggest ones, what we've been doing all afternoon with the Vulcan oils, only got into that 5 years ago. Why didn't I do that 20 years ago? You know,
the thing is, it's knowing how to use certain. That's the way I look at it, and how I'm learning is watching other people.
Yeah,
I've always done anyway, because that's the best way I know how to learn. For techniques, we're also refining it for what works for you. Yeah. But again, with oil paints, I would have been with you. I wouldn't have a clue how to use an oil paint. I'd have squirted it out, not leached the oil out, and just completely misused it. But actually knowing the right technique, figure painting, you say it's like it's not. It's actually very straightforward once you know the basics of it. Yes, you need obviously an element of obviously brush control, obviously consistency of paint, but you learn that. I have just learned everything from scratch. I wouldn't have no clue probably 3 or 4 years ago on how to paint a figure, you know, and I'm nowhere near the level of some of them, nowhere near. But you keep doing it, you get better and better, and you see improvements. And that's what I say, little tiny percentages all add up over a course of time.
Absolutely.
You've got to start somewhere. So there's no saying, no, you can paint a figure that any better than I can if you practiced it for a few years or anything else in the hobby. I think, you know, anybody can do it. I
can only speak for myself, but I can certainly say that I've learned more from all you lot on the forum, all the members, than you'll ever learn off of me. That's for sure.
And again, classic example, because I know he just asked me about this one. No, I haven't used it yet. But I tell you what's one of the perks of my job, and I tell you what, it's what gives me the warm glow and fuzzy feeling, is when members take the time to send me stuff. So Darren sent me this, which is Mark Fitzstrong Tamiya stuff. Can't get it over here. And he took the time to get this shipped over to me from Poland, I think, and all the rest of it. And this could be the best thing I've ever used, but I wouldn't know. It, you know, it could be crap. I don't know. I haven't used it yet. Sorry, Darren. I will use it, but I know Darren's in the forum. But it's that thing where, again, if I hadn't been told it or shown it, you sort of just use your stuff, you know, and you're a little bit blinkered to it. But then, you know, say I might use this when I get something to decal, which will probably be the Spitfire. I'll give it a whirl, and if it's amazing, obviously I'll tell the world about it and give you pure kudos to it as well, because I wouldn't have known it, because I wouldn't have bought it, you know. But again, that's the nice thing about the group and the forum and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, and this is before we were all sort of team, I suppose. Yeah. How much money have we all spent off the back of him with tools and primers and paint and everything else?
I didn't know I was young and needed the money.
especially primers.
You know, the Flory effect and clamps and but the thing is, Phil, if you hadn't have used them, we wouldn't have known. It's like Alex scrapers. It's you can go through lists and lists of what you've used over the years, and you've said, you know. But again, the knock-on effect is massive to the bigger community, isn't it? Let's be honest. You know, the amount of times what's his face who used to do the scrapers has sold out of them because you've used one on the show and this is a good tool. Yeah. But unless somebody shows you, you don't know, do you?
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's all right, these like people bringing tools out, but again, they need to back it up by actually showing how to use it properly.
Yes.
Can't just think people's going to know automatically how to use stuff. All right, some things are very obvious, let's be honest. But, you know, the scraping technique, there is a technique to scraping. It's not just go at it like a bull at a gate. It's, you know, and a lot of other stuff as well. It's like God-hand snips. I've never even heard of God-hand snips. But, you know, I've never been to Japan, so why would I?
For that. It's his fault. We all spent bloody hundreds on them.
Yeah. That's a thing where I think people don't realise what they're doing. Is when they're doing a normal build thread, and they muddle up the build sequence, and they don't even realise you're doing it on a build thread, that you've changed the build sequence from what's in the instructions. And especially more experienced models just do it. Yeah. And sometimes when you're following a build thread, you can almost subconsciously follow their build sequence, but you can do a really short build thread. That's what members are missing out on. It's your little tiny tips or tools or techniques, but just that little change you make to a build thread of a kit that you've built, the next person could benefit from.
Well, you bet it with your tornado, ain't you? I mean, I would, you know, like obviously I'm doing that video on the figure that I'm painting, and I'm only doing it from what I've sort of learnt myself. But I would love to one of like the top figure painters go, well, why don't you just try this?
Yeah,
it might just work better, or you know what I mean? Because I'm just sort of winging my way through it, just what I've seen, and I would like to just go and sit with, you know, one of the proper top guys who do figure painting and just watch how they do it and go, that makes sense, right? I see why you're doing that, or do you know what I mean? I think it's like anything in life. Whatever you're learning, you can pick up little tips from different people that work for you, and I've always found that throughout my working life. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, that's a good idea. I'll try that and see if it works. And I think it's the same with this hobby or any other hobby, to be honest, isn't it? Like you said, there's loads of way of getting round to the same result.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some are more efficient to you and your way of doing it than others. So,
like I said many times with this as well, is that, you know, we're not all robots. We're all not alike. Yeah. So a particular technique might not suit us. but a different technique, which is going to give you the same end result, does. And as we said, and that's what's nice about us as a team as well, is that we have our very own styles. You're not all just doing it the same way as I do. So we have this thing, and if you watch Nathan's build, he's done exactly the same video build as I've done as well on the Tornado. Again, Nathan approached the kit differently to how I did it. So that was quite a nice one. Again, we've all got our own little ways of doing weathering and chipping effects and all stuff, because we have our own ways. And that's the thing with this hobby as well. It's like airbrushing. You can produce the same work, but hundreds of different ways. And it's finding that way that works for you, that tool that works for you, that airbrush that works for you, that glue that works for you, that setting solution, you know, the brand of paint. It's very individual. So it's very difficult. And that's why I always say, when you get people online saying, you need to do it this, you need to be spraying at 28 PSI, 50-50 mix, you know, all of that rubbish. It depends on so many different variables. You just need to be listening and understanding what's going on rather than those type of scenarios and things. But a lot of it is finding your own way and techniques and how you're enjoying things, isn't it?
Experience, isn't it?
It is. It's just experience. And like I often say, because people say to me about, you know, oh, it's easy for you and all the rest of it. Yes, it clearly is, because I've been doing it a very long time. But one of the things with this hobby is, actually, the more you do it, the more you get proficient, which is pretty much the same with everything in life. And I am just blessed of doing this so many years and kicking out so many models. You know, I spoke to a guy the other day and he was saying about, oh God, you did all those F-18 Hornets. And, you know, you must know them inside out and do them blindfolded. Yes, it's true. I probably can. After doing, you know, 230 of them now, I do know F-18 Hornets quite well. But it's still that thing. I think I was improving with them all. You know, because I was understanding the kit after 100, I must admit, they went together quite similarly, but just painting and how to go through it and things like that. Because as I was doing all of this stuff, I'm airbrushing each one, I'm gluing, I'm sanding, I'm filling, I'm getting better at it, you know, and that's the point. So if you was probably look at number 1 from that list, and then it's 227 on that commission, if you went and looked at 227, I can guarantee you it was not like number 1. You know?
Just say, do you know what, with these build thread scenario, because we've gone off topic massively here, but yeah,
not like us, is it?
Really?
No, not really.
Does that happen?
You know, but if you go back, you know, the people that's done a few build threads, if you go back from your last one to your first one and see your improvement,
how you progressed. Yes,
night and day. Yeah,
that is massive. I suggest to people to do it off the forum, because you will. I think you'll be surprised.
If I 16 Ratter up.
You know,
Sten says now retailers have told him, sorry, we're out of stock because of the Flory effect.
Yeah.
If I can give one tip for doing a build thread, update it regularly.
Yeah.
Do short but regular updates. As soon as you let it, as soon as you go, say, a week or two, and you've got like 20 photos, that's when it becomes a bit of a chore to have to do. I can speak from experience on that.
It is as well, because you do forget where you are or where you're at.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously, like Phil said, life.
Also, I can vouch for this from my point of view as well, because obviously I finished the Vulcan, to be honest, as a build almost a month ago. I know you guys are still seeing it because it comes along as a series, but when I have to sit and type up about it, I have to watch the video back because I can't remember what I did. But I've got a video to watch and I can say, oh, I used that. Right, okay. And I did that, yeah. But if you haven't, and then you've got to remember because you've got a photo, it's quite tricky. So I would say do a little bit of work on it. And if you want to do it, even if you just keep a few notes on a pad. And to be honest, when I used to do magazine work, that's exactly how I did. I used to have literally an A4 pad next to me. And as I was working on it, I would take photos and then obviously I'd write down a few little notes. Because honestly, I have memory like a sieve. Even when I was doing this back in my 30s, I couldn't remember what I did yesterday. So if I had left it a few days, I'd have no idea how that model went together. So I used to put little notes, and it was just little bullet points to remind me. So when I had to write up the article, you know, I could then write, okay, we can pad this out now because I remember roughly how it goes because I've got all of this. But if I hadn't, little things like what paint you used, you know, little things like, you know, what glue you used, you might get down the line and think, shit, what did I use? I got 4 glues here. Which one was it? I don't know. I glued it. You know.
It also helps people who are following your thread as well, because they get more invested with it, so they'll comment more.
Yeah.
If it then goes, so like 3 weeks without a thread post on it, it's like, it gets a bit. It's easier for people to comment when it's a regular thing.
I know the guys are just talking down in here, and it is an important point, I think, and just cover it briefly, is that obviously haters and down votes and down thumbs on video builds. Two things. One, you can be like me and don't have them. Just go into your settings and turn them off. They'll still downvote you, but no one can see it. And only you can see it. And the way I always look at it is just look at the amount of people who have watched your video and then how many people actually dislike it. Then take into account how many people you've upset in the hobby, right? I'm amazed mine isn't a lot higher, So that's where you take no notice of it at all, And again, like I know a lot of people say we don't have comments on YouTube and stuff like that. Again, that's double-sided. One is I haven't got time to watch it. And again, you get the idiots in there and all the rest of it. But it is that thing about I haven't got time to reply to it. I've got enough going on with the site. I've got enough going on with this, with manufacturing, with PM models to sit and babysit YouTube, and stuff. So unfortunately, that's why I don't have any comments. I don't have any voting system on there for thumbs up, thumbs down. But I do know, I can see some of you guys talking about it in there. The more good you are, the more haters you'll get. But also don't take it personally, because me and the guys, we've done talks on Thursdays. To be honest, like the Lancaster one we did on Thursday, that's got quite a few down hates. I don't think they're being specific to you. It's just the topic you're talking about. And we were talking about it's an overpriced kit. And I think a lot of people, the reason they've sort of given it the thumbs down vote is purely because they probably agree that it's an expensive thing. And that's how I've sort of taken it. So we've got, I don't know, whatever it is, 7 or 8 down votes on it. And I just think it's probably people agreeing with us that it's a very expensive kit and very limited. And it's going to be a pain in the ass to get, rather than personal that they hate me. Which maybe they do.
It's when you
post again, I've upset more than 8 people in this world, so I'm taking it as a bonus.
It's when you've posted a 40-minute video and within 5 minutes of it going up on YouTube, you've got 10 hate, 10 down.
Yeah, you put it up 30 seconds ago and it's got 10 haters. They haven't even watched it. Honestly, I wouldn't take any notice.
It is difficult because sometimes you see just a general Facebook post by a friend or acquaintance you might know, and they might say, "Oh, my father died, yesterday." And then you put a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Put a thumbs down. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking, well, what do I put?
Yeah, my cat got run over. Thumbs up. Then you're like, "Oh shit, wrong one."
Then you put thumbs
sad
down.
Face. Yeah, thumbs down.
It's all a bit hard, isn't it, to know what to put sometimes.
It is an odd thing, isn't it?
It is. It's very, very difficult. But that's the whole thing with the hobby as well. Is I'm saying if you don't get people commenting on your threads, I know you get disheartened because nobody's commented on your thread, so you haven't got an answer to your thread. And again, it's one of those things where the membership is running around about 3,500. So you've got sort of 3,500 people going through, but out of that, how many are active? Answering questions and stuff like that, it's probably only around about 20% who are actively every day commenting right the way through. Other people, they come in, they come out. Like we said before, there's a lot of busy people out there. They come in the forum once a week, to catch up and stuff like that. They might come in once a month because they've literally just been pulling shifts and had no time to look at, the forum. And then because it's moved on a lot, because there's a hell of a lot going on, if somebody was to sit down and comment on every build thread, they would be there full time. So no one's got the time to do it as well. So don't take it personal. That's the point.
I've done that with a SIG. It's impossible to comment on everyone's entry, so I just only go through and put the thumbs up.
Yeah, it's been the Soviet SIG's been really popular. We thought would be interesting to see.
I follow it regularly, but it's just impossible to comment on everybody's.
A full-time job.
And to be honest, in the forum, one of the things I said to the devs, it came along, I don't know, about 10 years ago now, with a thumbs up, thumbs down. And it was on there to start with. And to start with, everybody was really nice about it. And it was always just a thumbs up, like you see on Facebook and your YouTube and all the rest of it. But then a couple of thumbs down came in. And it was like, why? Why have people done that? I don't understand. So I must admit, within days, I got hold of the devs and I was like, we need to take the thumbs down button off. And they were like, well, we can't. And it's like, well, I want it off totally because it's really negative and we only have positive stuff on the forum. And then, after a bit of a discussion, all the rest of it, they're like, right, we can do that. So that's why we now just have the thumbs up. So you can do it as an acknowledgement that you've read it and you liked it. Just a simple click saying thumbs up. So we don't have on the forum a thumbs down option. Because you don't need negativity. If you don't like it, don't comment. Like my mum always said, if you've got nothing nice to say, that's why she never spoke to me.
Just in a YouTube land, Rob says, I've been on the forum for ages, not too good at the mo. I hope you're all right, Rob. Should we compare elements?
No, they got time.
Christ, don't you two get going? We'll be here all night.
Ron says,
We'll be here at
Matt,
10.
what's your preferred paint for figures?
Well,
It's a different one, don't you?
it's normally Vallejo model colour, but I have actually got quite into these Gen 3 AK as well. They're really nice, so either or, but it's going to be the acrylics.
You Panzer Racers, don't you? And
Panzer Racers, which are Vallejo anyway, aren't they, for the different ones, because they're at work. But yeah, they're more, like I said, the Gen 3s are really nice. They've gone really nice.
I do need to give them a go. You have said nothing but nice things about them, haven't you?
yeah. And Dan says, I build to enjoy and promote model building at shows, not to build to competition standards, but to put potential newbies off the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, isn't it?
It's,
The thing is, you've got to think the amount of people that's come back into the hobby because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, obviously we're doing all the shows last year, and how many like Phil knows with the amount of new people that's coming in and says, I'm returning after a 30-year hiatus, or I ain't touched a model since I was 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it is a big comeback, I suppose, into the hobby from what it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Everything's changed. It must be like it must be like somebody waking up from a coma.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In that respect, you know what I mean? And it's just like, wow, this is a completely different world from when I left it, sort of thing. So, any help to give to newbies coming back is it's invaluable to them, isn't it? You know, to keep them in the hobby as well before they get distracted with other things. Because I think it's one of them. Once you get hooked, you're hooked, aren't you? There's no getting away, really.
Carriage full of models,
Yeah, so it doesn't take long to end up with far too many tools, paints and kits.
But
this wall of kit.
on the flip side, those new people coming back, don't be frightened to put the methods you're using, even if it is the ones that you remember using 30 years ago, because we'll look at it and think, Christ, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yes. Yeah. And to be honest, like we've often said, isn't it, this hobby's like fashion. It's funny how things come back. There's techniques from the 70s that have now come back. I'm not being funny. Sprue goo is a 70s invention, and I use it all the time. All right, it's a slightly more modern twist on it, but this is definitely, it's before fillers were out. People used to literally use acetone and sprue to make sprue goo as a filler. So that's a 70s technique that I use, and it's one of my favourites. So it's literally, as we've said before, there's hundreds of different techniques, and sometimes they fall out of fashion, and it's not the nice way of doing it and the right way of doing it, people tell you. And then give it a couple of years, everyone's doing it again, because somebody on the internet's come up with this bright idea, which was around donkey's years ago. And I think that's one of the true things of having been in this now professionally for so long. It's amazing how you see stuff come back again, and you're like, it's literally like fashion. Things fall out of fashion, they come back in, they go back out. And as I said, next month we're all using enamel paints. Because that's literally the one I'm waiting for.
On the chat, he still uses Tipex. I suppose that used to be what Mr. Surface is for now, isn't it? Tipex.
Tipex is pretty good as a filler. The last little bit of a seam, I should have done that flipping fucking DR1 now. I've got to go soon.
Daryl says, why do you focus on people who come back to the hobby rather than anyone coming new to it? I always hear back to hobby after 30 years. What about those 12 months in?
Again, we've got them. We've got brand new people who have come to us. They've bought from PM. I've had people say to me about basic tool sets. They want to get involved. They've never built a kit in their life. And they've said, I was talking to a guy during the height of the pandemic when we were doing the live shows, and he was furloughed and working from home. And he was like, I've got crap all to do, and I've never built a kit in my life. So he went down and bought like a cheap kit and all the rest of it. And he was like, I've just got this, that, and the other. And it was like, look, mate, use a nail file and a pair of scissors and a knife, craft knife. You can just get going with it. you know. And I said it's one of those things where you'll know quickly if you're getting into it, and before you know it, it will take your life over. And as far as I know, he's still a member.
Yeah.
So he signed up and was like, right, I'm going to go for it and all the rest of it. And he was new to it. And he was saying, to be honest, we had the discussion. He says he must be the only 45-year-old or something who never did it as a kid. Because he said, I must have had a really bad childhood because I never built a kit in my life. But he's got quite into it now, you know.
That's the reason why there's more returnees than newbies, though, isn't it? Because most people do try in the younger years when other things in life become more important. God knows how, but they do. And then it's like, they leave the modelling scene at like 16, 17, 18, whatever it is. And then when you have more time later on in life, you come back to it, which is why there's more returnees than there is new people, because majority of people in the hobby are unfortunately older people.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get younger people engaged in it, isn't it, with all the other things that go around it with video games and things.
If you look,
I suppose all the the 70s and 80s was like when modelling was really popular, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And those people that were doing it then are now sort of mid-40s, 50s. So we're just going through that phase at the moment, aren't we, where that sort of person is returning back to the hobby.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a disposable income.
And also, I think really as well, model making is one of those things, because there's been certain things like James May on the telly and things like that. It's no longer sort of an anarchy type hobby. It was always that hobby from the closet, if you like, because it's not hip and trendy. And I think it's that thing where obviously you go to a model show and you see the standard of work is a lot different to how you remember it as a kid. You know, and it's like amazing. And now, obviously, through things, obviously, in the 70s and 80s, ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, doing Star Wars stuff, and then obviously films, because they went digital as well, everybody thought that model making really was a lost art. But practical effects have come back massively over recent years because people are sort of shied away from green screens and want it to be real. And then model making sort of has had a resurgence, I think, in definitely the last 5 or 6 years. You know, and COVID has just accelerated it again. You know, the internet, as I said before, has really helped out this hobby. You know, it was dying on its arse at one point in the early 90s. I know it for a fact. And it was like suddenly internet breathed fresh air right the way through the hobby, because it brought what is technically, as I always said, a really lonely hobby together. Because we got people, like we've got members, I think, from pretty much everywhere on the planet, short of the Antarctic. I think we've got one member who does it occasionally for 6 months. You know, and it's one of those things that's brought people together.
About, is it a week on Monday, on yesterday? At 9 o'clock, in it is the World of Hornby, isn't it?
Yes.
Series. And I think that's got our own Paramjit on it, hasn't it?
It could have had our very own Matt and Andy on it, but we won't talk about that.
Can I just say, for this full weekend, you've got the you've got the World of Flory on YouTube.
Yes, you have the World of Flory.
Every Thursday night and every Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday when we go on.
Absolutely.
We don't need yesterday on the BBC.
No.
Yeah, I think if you look at the hobby and you broaden the horizons of the hobby, things like making miniatures is really popular. People making little bookends, with little scenes in them. There's lots of people making like little miniatures, not modelling that as we see it. So I think there's been a big resurgence in people sitting down and making miniature.
What about cosplaying?
Do you know, that was my next discussion point. If you look at how cosplay works into what we do, you know, cosplay is literally one-to-one scale modelling.
Yeah.
You know?
Warhammer. I think there's loads of ways into the hobby, but I don't think we need to keep chasing 7-year-olds and getting them into the hobby.
No.
I think people can come into the hobby at all sorts of different age groups, from making miniatures. I found a guy in Egypt who bought die-cast diggers and then built a diorama around them, and he weathered these die-cast diggers, and his work is amazing. And there's a lady that makes little street scenes that sit inside books. She puts them on the bookshelf instead of a book, and it's like a little street scene. It's all lit up, and I think those are the people.
I think it's raining. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That rain we had here has reached Doncaster. Matt, have you got it? I take it you've got that other thing you were showing us earlier. Is it the unit? Is it? Yeah, that one, whatever it is, 16th scale Stug.
Jag Panther.
That Jag Panther.
Jag Tiger. Yeah, was it Jag?
You know,
Jag
that
Panther,
Games
Jag
Workshop type thing.
Yeah, Jag Panther 4 inch.
Oh no, it's 132nd.
The big thing.
Just the gaming piece. Yeah, I'll show it tomorrow.
Again, watch us tomorrow. We can explain a little bit more. But Matt's got one of these, and we're going to use it for demo work and painting. And again, it'd be a great way of getting people into modelling. You know, because again, it's pre-built. You're going to paint and weather it, but it's for gaming. You know, and again, that's it's one of those things that you get people and they'll paint it, and then the next progression is, well, I could build the model. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
You go back a step.
It's very crude and basic, but again, it's an ideal thing to get for practicing weathering techniques on. Because basically, what I was going to do was use that as a demo for doing the washes that I was doing on the. But you know, I hadn't time to obviously give it a coat of paint, so it wouldn't be much good. But I'll show it tomorrow, and you'll see what I mean. And it's if you're practicing airbrushing, it'd be brilliant for practicing airbrush camo work on and stuff.
Yeah.
Just weathering and.
Yeah, and they're like $5 or something like that. This thing is, and obviously, again, if you go to toy shops, you know, stuff that like Nathan was saying, people where they get a standard toy, but they just make them look brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
You get what's it called, the Valor series, isn't it? Which are like aircraft.
Force of
Valor. I've done work on those. So basically, you take technically a child's collector toy, if you like. And then you seam fill it, repaint it, put an accurate weathering job on it and all the rest of it. And you end up with like a 1/16 scale Black Hawk, you know, and you can get all like the figures for it and all the rest of it. Again, it's exactly what we're doing, you know, and you can strip them back and redo them. And I've worked on 1/16 scale Starfighter, which was like that. It was ridiculous. Got that famous photo on my table with all the 3 scales of it. I've got it in sort of 1/16, 1/32, and 1/48. But again, it's one of those ones. It's different ways of getting people into the hobby. They don't realise sometimes you're actually doing it, but you are.
In our chat, Graham says we have a Gunpla shop near me, and most of the clients are in the mid-20s. Must admit that sort of crossover, the Gunpla and Games Workshop thing, does tend to be for younger people, doesn't it? Maybe it's because it's fantasy, not
war
scale.
I don't know. I think you get probably a lot of people our age who still do Warhammer.
Oh yeah, you do. But the younger people seem to be generate towards that Warhammer and Gunpla rather than sort of like to the stuff that we do.
I suppose it's not their era though, is it?
Yeah.
If you look at when we grow up, we had relatives who was in.
No, I'm about to say I'm not old, but I wasn't born in the 40s.
No, but you know what I mean. You knew people who had taken part, and it was part of you growing up and watching war films and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and obviously looking in the local paper shop at your Matchbox box arts and stuff like that. So. I think it was more relevant to us and obviously than the generations now, but obviously they've grown up with Lord of the Rings, the Marvel films. It's it's a thing from them, and then like obviously like saying cosplay's coming, YouTube as well. YouTube's got a lot to answer for in that respect because there's creators and people who do stuff, really good stuff. You know, the Star Wars film, whatever, you know. Because if you see a major film now, even if it's on TV or it's Netflix or it's on Amazon Prime, it's normally fantasy-based stuff. The Witcher.
Yeah,
that's Netflix's most popular show. Yeah,
it's not very, you know, Game of Thrones, whatever you want to say. It's not very more to the realistic side of it than probably when we were younger, shall we say? But that's to do with obviously like the computer graphics that they can do, the CGI or. Just they can do more with it to make it more watchable, not sort of Jason and the Argonauts from 1960 something, which I thought were great.
Yeah.
But obviously it was very dated now when you watch it back. But state of the art back in the day, it's still relevant, isn't it? You know. So, but I think YouTube. I think a lot of it for the popularity of makers in general, whatever it is YouTube. because you can make your own videos now. Anybody can do it,
Yes.
can't they?
Yeah.
Anybody can get a webcam and a laptop and make a video.
Join in with it.
I do it on a thing, and you know, if you would have thought that, I'd never have thought I'd be making videos. Not 2 years ago, never mind any further back. Is the last thing on my mind, but
Yeah.
Well, strictly speaking, Andy makes them really.
Yeah.
well,
Andy polishes the turd.
Oh god, yeah. But I had thingy today, funnily enough, when I got home from work, Lydia saying to me, "When can we start my YouTube channel?"
Oh, there you go.
I said to her, "So what are you going to put on your YouTube channel?" Stuff. But I have seen obviously some of the crap she watches, and it is just kids playing with toys or whatever, and they lap it up. It's just, yeah.
Isla watches that stuff.
You know, it's.
But again, just change subject. John just saying he's talking about repainting a Nerf gun. That's what I do somewhat as a hobby. I don't show it on here, but as a lot of you know, I make 1-to-1 scale props. So I've got, I've got a pulse rifle upstairs. I've got one made out of resin. I've shown a couple on here. We did the Chewbacca's bowcaster. And again, I did Han Solo's blaster as well. And I've got a few others kicking around up there.
I've got, sorry, you know the Uncle Fester's head?
Yes.
I want to repaint that. I'm going to get the airbrush out and just
I
do
think
it.
you need to do that for Halloween.
His eyes are far too blue and
I think
nice.
they are. They're a little bit, yeah.
And he needs some colour.
I think so.
You know what I mean? He needs to look a bit more. So I think the airbrush.
Alive.
You're going to make him more gruesome.
I was thinking more dead, but there you go. Wherever you want to go.
You could do like The Walking Dead. But again, that's another side to the hobby which I enjoy. So I don't show it on here because it doesn't get much feedback, to be honest, and I think it's probably not to everyone's taste for what I normally do. But it is another, as you say, it's a side to the hobby. It's still model making, you're still crafting at the end of the day. It's just you're working on things a lot bigger. And again, it's whatever is in your genre. You're still using an airbrush, still using all my gear here is what I use on it, so it's no different. So.
Do you know what the thing is? Like there's been some names thingied up in there because obviously Al Murray does model kits and him who played Rimmer in it.
Yeah.
Can't think of his name. But do you know if more people like that came out and said, "This is what I do"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would probably more acceptable if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I think it's come a long way, like you said, from being sort of, "Oh, you make model kits, do you? You must be weird."
Yeah.
It's a lot more. "Oh, right, do you? What do you do?" Everybody's still fingering it to like Airfix.
Yes, I think I need a tank top.
Yeah.
Nice woolen tank top.
Is that going to be merch?
That'll be merch. I build models.
Flory tank top merch.
Yeah, with I build models. That's it.
It's true that everyone though turns around and says, "Oh, Airfix," don't they? As soon as you say,
"Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I make models," "Oh, Airfix." So,
Yeah. I mean, if you go, tell you what, you go to the Lego store though. Half the Lego store, and a third of it, maybe a third, half's a bit much, is for adults.
Oh yeah. Well, Lego now do their adults range
Exactly.
because they're so expensive. Nobody under 40 can afford them.
I mean, the one that they had on display was an Adidas trainers, a typewriter, a Fender Stratocaster, and they were clearly aimed at adults.
Oh,
And
yeah.
The Lego store was full of kids buying Lego for themselves and adults buying Lego for themselves. And I think that's the era of the nerd arrived. It's nobody thinks it's weird anymore that people make Lego when they're in their 40s.
It's like the Apollo that me and Phil have got. Well,
Exactly.
and also my lad's got a Lamborghini. Yeah, like this big. It costs hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
You wouldn't buy that for a kid.
No, but the age of the nerd has arrived.
Yeah. Just a quick question before David probably leaves us, because he put a couple question afterwards, and it's a genuine one. He says, "Are resin models delicate? I.e., if you had to build a vehicle, would the parts keep coming off as you progress with the build?" It depends how you go about the build. Again, we're down to this thing, isn't it? If you follow the instructions and they talk about putting on the really delicate bits halfway through your build, they probably will. So what you want to do is, when you're working with resin the same way, is that you're going to be using either epoxy resins or you're going to be using super glues. You know, epoxy resin's not so bad, but super glue is obviously, I call it the ping factor. If it gets a shock, it cracks and just falls off. Luckily, it usually comes off very cleanly, but that's your trouble with it. But again, when you're doing your build, you look through the instructions, and the bit where it says about if you're doing, say, a car, put the wing mirrors on now, you're thinking, no, because if I handle it, they're going to come off. I'm going to put them on at the end. So that's just one of those things of going through all the instructions and working out when you can do things later on, and perhaps just come along with a highlighter pen as I normally do, just to remind me to put them on, because otherwise I'll forget, and just mark it or ring that thing to say need to do that later. So you can build the entire thing as a solid object, and obviously for painting and things like that, you want it to probably be built in a different way to what the instructions actually show. You know, I've got an HPH stuff over here, and they're solid resin planes, which are really fragile, but once they're together, they're quite solid. But you're not going to be putting on all those small little doors and antennas and things that can get broken off until the very, very end, and then you put them on. So then that way, when you're holding it and picking it up, you have a certain way of grabbing it that you're not going to knock things off and break things off.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, can we call it a night?
I think we should.
I'm probably
20 to
flagging.
10. 20 to 10. We've gone well over, haven't we?
Yeah.
The hobby's strong.
It is. The hobby's strong with these people.
I think
It's
it is.
not a problem.
I think the hobby's in a really, really good state at the minute.
Mm.
Long
Yeah.
may it continue, and I think that is just for crafting hobbies, period, not just for model
Yes,
making.
I think that does cover right the way across the entire hobby
Yeah.
genre, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you know, again, it's one of those things that if you are stuck and you can't work out how to use it, ask. You know, as I say, I still answer, Christ, some days about 50 emails a day where people asking questions, and if I can, I'll always answer every single one. So it's just that thing about, you know, as you say, if you're not sure about it or you don't understand it, then obviously, you know, just reach out, stick it on the forum, ask a question. I'm sure there'll be lots of people there who will be the first ones to jump in and give you a hand and a help and advice, or, you know, their opinions on as well.
Yeah.
Especially on our forum. Definitely.
Definitely.
Good. We're going to have a quick one last run round the shops before we go.
God, is he in charge of marketing now?
He wants to make, you don't want to break the record.
You'd
like
think,
Flory
wouldn't
finished,
you?
don't you?
Right, don't forget everybody, the Flory model sale, fest sale is still ongoing right the way around everywhere, so links are down below. But if you go to the Flory model site, obviously we got up to 28% off various things. If I hit refresh, it might tell me if I've gone out of stock of anything. No, we're still going all right then. So obviously we've got what, sort of 10 quid off of sander sets. We've got just £5 for all the sanders. It's 25% off washes. We've got wash sets down from 41 to 31 as well, and pigments and things like that, although we are sold out of sets purely because I need to work out how many individuals we've got to make up the sets, so that might change tomorrow, but for the moment I can't tell. So lots of those there on there. PM site is obviously 10% off all kits everywhere, but it does have its specials area with extra special discounts on the following as well. So we've got all the kits running down through here. So we've got lots of Edar bits and pieces, we've got lots of Meng bits and pieces, we've got the Hobby Boss Hornet, which I'm probably going to build soon-ish. We've got this fantastic Hornet down there, which I'll probably build as well. Some nice Mustangs and things, I've built that one as well. And obviously we've got lots of other Meng stuff, got ICM trucks, all of these, and this one's discounted. The best Lancaster bang for buck you can get in 48 scale, just put that on the end. Is down in there as well, so you can get all of those from the PM store. Links are down below, but if not, it's just pmmodelsuk.com, and that will take you down in there. We've got Serious Models, obviously our friends for Europe. So if you're in Europe, so there's no problems with customs and deliveries and all things like that. So they're doing a blanket thing at 15% right off at Serious Models. They're our EU distributor for all the Flory Models range. So you can go there at seriousmodels.eu. And then Brett over in the States has got Flory Fest going on as well. And apparently now it's done at checkout. So he's got discounts right the way across, obviously all the range down in here as well. So if you want to grab yourself a bargain, he's got all of the Flory model stuff. So if you're in North America, that is definitely the place you want to get them from, because obviously it's a lot cheaper right the way through on there. So yes,
Yeah.
good stuff,
Cool.
definitely. Right, okie dokie then guys, we will call it quits for tonight because we need some sleep. definitely. We'll be back with you 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you'd like to join us for that, I'm going to be working on the Lightning. Going to be doing some weathering on that one and finishing that particular kit off tomorrow. I know the guys will be along as well, doing some bits and pieces as well. Don't forget, in the afternoon, we've got Airfix coming on with us as well. So if you've got any questions for Airfix, they're going to be doing a little bit of a presentation. But if you have got any questions for them as well, please post up. And obviously, if they can answer it, they will do as well. So you can speak to Airfix as well. So they'll be on from 2 o'clock onwards in the afternoon as well. So if you've got any questions for them, post them up at that time. Don't post them up beforehand because we'll never remember them. So, but basically along just like that as we go through. The deals and all the offers and the bits and pieces like that will run until tomorrow night as well. So you can grab all your bargains and your bits and pieces just like that. Cool. Sorted. All good?
Yeah.
Very good. Right. Okay then, guys. Thank you very much for watching this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. We will see you tomorrow morning. So goodbye.
Bye.